football has been claimed over the years by many of the great universities of the country. These teams are now part of the history of the game. But this season's national champion has yet to be decided. Notre Dame was the nation's top team last year, and they held that ranking late into the season, until the University of Miami brought down the Fighting Irish with a convincing 27-10 win that elevated the once-beaten Hurricanes to a, well, number 2 ranking in the national polls. The Crimson Tide of Alabama is the nation's 7th-ranked team. They feature a linebacker who most likely will be the first player picked in the upcoming NFL draft. Keith McCants, a junior, has what many scouts see as the potential to be the next Lawrence Taylor. Tonight from the Superdome, a game that could help decide the national championship, the USF&G Sugar Bowl. Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. Sellout crowd, 76,000. The Miami Hurricanes and the Alabama Crimson Tide. It'll be wild here this evening, a partisan Alabama crowd, because they are the tri-champions of the Southeast Conference, and, well, it'll be heavily partisan towards Alabama. But in any event, good game. We're glad you're with us. We feel this game could have a major influence on a national obsession. Who is number 1? The Miami Hurricanes, of course, are ranked number 2. They feel going into tonight they'll be thinking a little bit about what's going on in the Orange Bowl, where Notre Dame is taking on number 1 ranked Colorado, and Notre Dame favored over Colorado. And should Miami win tonight, Notre Dame beat Colorado, well, then Miami feels they have a legitimate claim on the national championship. And, of course, first of all, they have to get by Alabama. We are glad you're with us. The Monday night crew has reconvened for your viewing pleasure. That, of course, means Frank and Al and Dan and Al. When you look at this Miami team, well, if it should eventuate, like we said, I think it would be a very legitimate claim on number 1. This is a great football team.
There is no question that they feel, whether they win or lose tonight, they should be the team of the decade, and why not? This is a team that won only 38% of its games in the 1970s, but 83% in the 1980s. And you think about Miami, the names, of course, that come to mind in recent years: Jim Kelly, Bernie Kosar, Vinny Testaverde, Steve Walsh, a great recent quarterback tradition. They've got a good one right now in Craig Erickson. But the difference for Miami, I think, is defense. They are number 1 in the nation defensively. They allow only 9 points a game. And as you take a look at the Miami Hurricanes coming out onto the field here at the Superdome, this is a team so tough against the run that the opposition averaged less than 2 yards per carry this season. If they turn in that sort of performance tonight, they will win, and they are favored to win by 9. They're big favorites here, Dan. So what does Alabama have to do, Alabama being number 7 in the country, to win this game tonight?
Well, first of all, Al, I think they hope that Miami plays with the same enthusiasm with which they walked onto the field.
Yeah, right. Good idea.
Yeah, I think that's the Hurricanes' way of responding to what is obviously not a neutral site. This is very pro-Alabama, and the Tide will need all the help they can get tonight. From an athletics standpoint, I don't think there's a college team in the country that can compare to the University of Miami. So what's Alabama going to have to do? Well, first of all, they're going to have to take some chances offensively and defensively. They're probably going to have to blitz more than they're used to doing to try to pressure the Kane offense. And secondly, they're probably going to have to throw the ball a little more than they would like. And to do so effectively, they have to protect their quarterback, Gary Hollingsworth, against the finest front 4 in college football. Can they do it? Can they use this crowd? It'll be an uphill battle for the Tide tonight. We'll return to the Superdome here in New Orleans for the USF&G Sugar Bowl and a wild crowd right after this.
The USF&G Sugar Bowl, brought to you by USF&G. All across this country, USF&G protects your business, home, auto, and life. USF&G covers the USA. By today's Chevrolet, who invites you to see why nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America. By Cotton Incorporated for America's cotton growers. Cotton, the fabric of our lives. And by Ultra Slim Fast. Give us a week, we'll take off the weight.
Alabama won the toss. They've deferred the choice until the second half. Miami will receive the kickoff in just a moment. And incidentally, the coin used in today's opening toss was a silver dollar commemorating the bicentennial of Congress, provided by the U.S. Mint. It is being used as the official coin of the 1989-90 postseason. Lynn Swan will be patrolling the sidelines tonight. What's shaking down there, Swanee?
Well, Al, we know how important this game is to Miami for their hopes for a national championship. But on a more personal level, it's equally as important to the head coach, Bill Curry. He's been at Alabama for 3 years with a 26-9 record, but hasn't had the overwhelming support of the alumni and fans, probably because in those 9 losses there have been 3 to Auburn, and it's a fierce interstate rival, with the winner usually getting the edge in recruiting. And you know, in any major college football program, getting the in-state blue-chip football players is critical to being competitive. So he really wants to win this to get that support on his side. But immediately, the support is here, as this stands is full of the crimson and white colors of this Alabama football team. Al?
I would have to estimate, Lynn, that the crowd is probably 4-1 Alabama. Perhaps 12 to 15,000 Miami faithful, and about 60,000 rooting for the Crimson Tide. And there are some of the orange who have made their way from the Sunshine State to New Orleans as we get set for the USF&G Sugar Bowl. Philip Doyle to kick off for Alabama. Alex Johnson and Randall Hill back to receive for second-ranked Miami. Hill takes it at the 12. Out past the 30. And Hill out to the 37-yard line, and Miami will take over there, and it's Philip Doyle who kicked off, who runs him out of bounds. Miami, a very effusive team, and they really show their emotions. You saw Hill at the end of that play. You'll see Dawkins do that all the time in the end zone. And as we take a look at the Miami offense, Craig Erickson and his numbers. He missed action in the middle of the season with a broken knuckle on his throwing hand. Wesley Carroll is back after a shoulder injury kept him out of the Notre Dame game. Conley is the sole setback, and there are the guys up front. From the 35-yard line, it's going to be tough for Miami to run its plays tonight with the din here. Conley is swarmed under. Back of the line of scrimmage, the Chargers led by Willie Wyatt, number 98. Wyatt is one guy to keep an eye on. He is in the middle, flanked by Thornton and Rayam. But of course, the big man is number 86, Keith McCants, who's a junior, but he could declare himself eligible for the NFL draft. He has not stated officially whether he will or not. Mangum and Thomas are the corners. Mangum is outstanding. And the rest of the secondary. Second down and 10 from the 34-yard line to the short side of the field. The catch is made by Conley, and he's run out of bounds at about the 38 by Spencer Hammond, the outside linebacker, number 44.
If Miami has any problems tonight, it would be over on the left side of their offensive line, where Mike Sullivan was not expected to play at left tackle. He is perhaps their best offensive lineman. Bad ankle, missed a couple of games, hurt it on Wednesday, but he is trying to go. I talked to him on the field. He said, I'm going to give it a go, at least that first series. So we'll watch number 79.
On 3rd and 9, Erickson throws out of bounds, intended for Carroll, who looks for a flag and doesn't get it. The pressure that time put on by McCants as the All-American came in on a blitz. Forced Erickson to release. That's Charles Gardner, and McCants coming off the field as the Alabama defense does its job, and we isolate on McCants.
We talked earlier about his chances of possibly being the first guy taken in the draft next year, and a very effective job of pass protecting by Luis Cristobal, the left guard, who a good strike into the upper body of McCants and put him on the ground.
Tim Kalal to boot it away for Miami. Gene Jelks, and the kick may have been deflected. A very poor kick, bouncing near midfield, taking a Miami hop, and it's down to the Alabama 43-yard line. Mike Smith might have gotten a hand on it.
Well, if he didn't get a hand on it, it went straight up in the air. Let's take a look at it from behind. See number 9, Smith, come up there, and boy, it's really impossible to tell. But by the trajectory of the ball, which went straight up, you almost have to assume that he got a finger on it. Boy, that's awful close to call. That's too close for me to call. Whether or not Mike Smith touched it or not.
He sensed that he might have that blocked, and perhaps he just pulled up on it.
Out of the shotgun, this is Saran Stacy, who is wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage. Richard Newbill, the outside linebacker, making the tackle. A lot of good stories, which we'll get into in regard to Alabama, many of them involving this man, Gary Hollingsworth, who emerged and came from nowhere to become probably Alabama's most valuable player. And without a huddle, here they come to the line on 2nd down and 10. From the 42-yard line, the fake inside handoff and a little toss out to the tight end, Lamont Russell, who takes it out to the 48-yard line. He is stopped by Ryan McNeil. Bill Curry was telling us yesterday Alabama could play all night without a huddle if they had to. And they're beginning that way right now with no huddle again here on 3rd down and 4. Hollingsworth out of the gun from the 48-yard line. On a little roll to the right, has time, but then he underthrows the intended receiver. Marco Battle trying to make it look like a catch, but the officials aren't fooled, and Alabama has to kick.
The reason Alabama can do that is, number one, that Gary Hollingsworth is a very bright young quarterback. He reads defenses. He knows this offense so well that they don't have to get the calls into him. He does it all on his own, as you can see, underthrows there. But also, Bill Curry would like to pressure Miami's #1 defense of the nation. Keep them coming after the passer, wear them down a little bit, and then perhaps they won't be as effective later in the game.
Bill Smith to punt. Hurricanes trying to set up a return as Pee Wee Smith takes it at the 15-yard line and gets buried at the 16. So a spirited beginning, a 38-yard kick, a 3-yard return. We've played 2 minutes and 21 seconds in the opening quarter of the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, Miami, and Alabama.
Happy New Year, America. I'm Joan London, and on behalf of everyone at Good Morning America, I'd like to wish you and your family a safe and happy 1990.
Craig Erickson having a fine season, and he missed some time during the middle of the year, and there's a look at the knuckle, and you can still see the bulge there, and that cost him 3 starts in 1989.
A little calcium, wouldn't you say, Dan, has developed there?
Well, he's also still got a pin in that knuckle that won't be removed until sometime this offseason.
He goes back to pass on 1st down from the 17 and hits Carroll, who is very close to a 1st down. He is tackled by Charles Gardner out at the 27-yard line.
Erickson has got the passing arm back again, and the hand is not bothering him as much as it did in the past. He's throwing the spiral once again, and you can see he's right on target to Wesley Carroll. Carroll missed the Notre Dame game, and they moved the receivers around a little bit. They brought Dale Dawkins in play what they call the tailback position, where Carroll ordinarily is, and Dawkins had a great game. 2 fine receivers, Dawkins and Carroll. Carroll gets the 1st down.
It is a 1st down. As Frank mentioned, they list him as a tailback, but it's really a one-back offense with 3 wide receivers. And right now, Stephen McGuire, the freshman from Brooklyn, New York, who has emerged in the second half of the season, is in as the sole running back. He and Leonard Connolly will share time at that spot. 1st down from the 27-yard line. And here's McGuire to the short side of the field, and takes it out past the 30 to about the 32-yard line, where Ephraim Thomas comes up to make the tackle. Meanwhile, if you're just getting home, in the Hall of Fame Bowl, Auburn beat Ohio State today, and Illinois knocked off Virginia by 10 in the Florida Citrus Bowl. In Dallas at the Cotton Bowl, Tennessee was the victor over Arkansas. Florida State routs Nebraska by 24 in the Fiesta Bowl. SC knocks off Michigan in the Rose Bowl by 7. And the whistle has blown this play dead as McCants comes charging in, but the whistle had blown, stopping the play before its inception. Referee tonight is John Nealon, and he'll tell us about it. Illegal procedure against the Hurricanes. Bill Curry, in his 3rd season at Alabama.
Will the clock operator put 4 seconds back on the clock? 4 seconds.
And on the right, Dennis Erickson. And you'll recall he took over when Jimmy Johnson got the job at Dallas after Jerry Jones had purchased the team. Johnson going to the NFL, and they brought Erickson in from Washington State, and he finishes the regular season with a mark of 10-1.
Pretty illustrious line of coaches he's followed.
Through the 80s, of course, it was Howard Schnellenberger there to get him started at the beginning of the decade, and then Johnson with great success. Erickson throwing and finding the seam at the 42-yard line is Lamar Thomas, and he gets tackled at the 40. Picking up the first down, John Mangum and Lee Osmond converge on the stop, and that's a 13-yard pickup.
Boy, and there's a formation you'll see a lot by Miami. They call it the trips formation. It's a fairly common, see the three receivers to this side of the field. Bill Curry was telling us they fear the short guy to the inside, but this time it's Thomas who makes the break into the inside from the outside position. And when you flood the field that way with three receivers, you're throwing the defense into man coverage.
From the 40-yard line, this is Alex Johnson getting into Alabama territory, and he has a first down at the 41, stopped by Willie Wyatt. That's a 19-yard gain for the man who would be number 3 on the depth chart at running back.
But he had a fine average coming into tonight, and he perhaps has the best speed of the single setback that Miami uses, and he came close to popping that, but good move in the sidelines to get the first down deep in Alabama territory.
When you're only 5'9", 170, Frank.
You better have it, huh?
Yeah, you better have some speed.
First down, Hurricanes from the 41-yard line. Erickson has a lot of time and going deep, and it's knocked down. Intended for Thomas and broken up by Ephraim Thomas. Intended for Lamar Thomas.
Any question about the arm of Craig Erickson? He erased that. Lamar Thomas, of course, alternates over in the left side with Randall Hill. Perhaps he doesn't have the speed of Randall Hill, but he had it for a moment. And well played by Ephraim Thomas, Jr. from Long Beach, California. And we have a wide assortment of cities and states represented on this Miami squad.
2nd and 10 at the 41-yard line. And this is Johnson picking up about 3. Little scuffle. Pickup of about 3 to the 38-yard line. What's amazing, there's been so much going on already. I look up at the clock. They've only played 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
Well, they put 4 seconds back on it.
3rd down and 7 at the 38-yard line. Erickson sending 3 receivers out to the left. And looking that way and throwing, and does he have the first down? Hill makes the catch, but Ephraim Thomas comes up to bump him back and prevent a first down.
Well, this is 2 big-time plays on the same series by Ephraim Thomas. We saw the coverage on the long fly pattern to Lamar Thomas, where he plays it beautifully and knocks it away, and now just as good an open field tackle as you're going to see. Now look at the catch. Now you look at there, you say there's no way that Hill isn't going to pick up the first down. Tremendous tackle by Thomas.
Carlos Huerta now to attempt a 49-yard field goal. The ball spotted at the 39-yard line. His longest of the year is 52, but this one is no good. It has the distance, but is wide. Miami with 3 first downs on that drive, but then Huerta is wide on an attempt from 49, and so Alabama will get it. A scoreless first quarter with 10:08 remaining in the period.
This is Roger Twibel in New York. It was a big day for Florida State University and their quarterback Peter Tom Willis. 25 of 41, 422 yards and 5 touchdowns. This pass in the 4th quarter to Terry Anthony, 24 yards, his 5th touchdown pass of the day. Now to Al Michaels.
All right, Roger, Florida State is the only team to have defeated Miami this season. They did that on a night when Erickson was injured and gone, and you saw the Notre Dame-Colorado score there in the first quarter at Miami. 0-0. Here, 0-0. Early first period. Alabama from the 32-yard line. Hollingsworth throws, and it's incomplete. intended for Prince Wimbley. They like to move the ball around, for the most part going to their tight ends and their running backs. And to this point in the game, Alabama continuing to go without a huddle.
Well, and also I think you're seeing some of the first down, Alabama going to the shotgun. I think they're making a statement about how well they think they can run the ball against Miami.
As we mentioned, Miami limiting their opponents to less than 2 yards per rush. The blitz, he gets it away to Saran Stacy, and then he gets swarmed under out of the 34-yard line. The first man to hit him was Maurice Crum, and then all of his pals joined in. And Bernard Clark among those. Offensively, Stacy and Turner, the starting running backs, Sanderson and Battle, the wideouts. Russell, the tight end, 81, their top receiver. And the offensive line, Chapman, a real good one, number 70, the right tackle. Third down and 8 from the 34-yard line. Hollingsworth has it intercepted at the 48-yard line by Farms, but there's a penalty marker as Farms brings it back to the Crimson Tide 41, and another flag. So 2 separate flags on the play.
I'll be surprised if we don't get some sort of a defensive holding call against Miami. Charles Farms makes the interception on a ball that at first glance appears to be seriously overthrown, but I think the reason that it was overthrown is that the Alabama receiver was held and detained along the way.
Both penalties against the Hurricanes. Left over from the Republican convention, no doubt.
All right, let's take a look. There's Saran Stacy going out, and there, as I believe what we're going to get, the defensive holding call. That's Maurice Crum. And here's the late hit. Cortez Kennedy coming in, and whoa, he slams a good one. So we're going to have dual personal fouls against Alabama, but it's the holding call against Maurice Crum that's going to negate the interception by Charles Farms. And there was no question that Crum really locked up with Saran Stacy as he came out of the Alabama backfield, and he was the intended receiver of Hollingsworth.
So when all is said and done, 1st and 10 Alabama at the 41. Pegues, Maryland, Kennedy's great, number 96. And Greg Mark with 15.5 sacks. Their rear linebackers, Clark the key man in the middle. And the excellent Miami secondary, all part of the country's #1 defense. What does that mean? It means they yielded fewest yards per game of any team in the country this year. Inside handoff goes to Kevin Turner, who picks up about 3, taking it to the 38. It'll be 2nd down and 7 for Alabama.
And I think this is a wise move, guys, by Alabama by going to the spread formation and going to the shotgun on 1st down, because they really don't have the muscle and the manpower up front to remove the Miami defensive line from the line of scrimmage and effectively sit there in an I formation and jam the ball down their throat. They're not going to do it. This is their only chance of winning this game.
I hate the word finesse, but it's a good way to describe their offense. They mix it up, run, pass, short pass, draw.
Here's an underneath handoff to Turner, and he takes it to the 34-yard line. He comes up about 3 yards short of the 1st down. Jimmy Jones in on the tackle. Turner, a junior from Prattville, Alabama. Good receiver. They like to throw to him a lot. In fact, he's their 2nd leading receiver behind the tight end Russell. Houston and Stacy are now the running backs in this shotgun set with Hollingsworth. On 3rd and 3 from the 34. Hollingsworth throwing for the far side, but out of bounds was Craig Sanderson making the catch, but clearly on the stripe. And so 4th down for the Crimson Tide at the 34-yard line. And Philip Doyle, who had an outstanding season, both teams with terrific place kickers. Doyle will line up to attempt this one from the 41, so a 51-yard attempt for Philip Doyle. kick is wide.
Boy, and it looked long enough as well, did it not?
Hooked it a little bit too much. Started to die at the end. I think it had the distance, but hooks wide, as did Huerta's kick. An errant kick by the Miami kicker from 49. This one missing from 51. Just missing. 8:03 to go in the quarter. Well, there he is, Keith McCants, the great linebacker. Lawrence Taylor was quoted the other day as saying that the 80s was the Taylor decade and the 90s will be the McCants decade in the NFL. From the 34-yard line, here's Erickson back to throw. Hits Carroll. There's a marker down. Carroll at the 48 of Alabama, and Ephraim Thomas makes the tackle.
Alabama, I believe, had 12 men on the field. They were trying to scramble one off, and he did not get off before the ball was snapped.
Could have been George Teague, number 13, trying to get off the
A
field.
substitution infraction on Alabama. Decline. First down.
It looked like Carroll went off the field in the arms of a couple of the Miami trainers, and he's clearly shaken up after that reception. But his catch puts Miami in Alabama territory.
Now remember, he's the guy who missed the Notre Dame game because of that shoulder problem. And out he comes here. Pee Wee Smith takes his place at the 48-yard line. Here goes Conley to the outside, turning the corner, and then met head-on by Ephraim Thomas, who's been involved in a lot of this action, but Thomas has now paid the price. And Conley begins to limp away, but Thomas really shaken up after that brutal hit.
And Thomas still down. Let's take a look at it at regular speed, and Al, your call is right on. Ephraim Thomas just puts the shoulder to shoulder, and Thomas still down on the ground. His left shoulder appears to have really borne the brunt of that shot, and Ephraim Thomas remains down.
You know, Conley only goes 170 pounds, another 5'9", but he plays so big. Very tough is the way they characterize their single setback, and quite a collision there with Ephraim Thomas. Now he's up, and I think he's returning to the universe.
Well, you think that we're talking about that there's still 7.5 minutes left in the first quarter. How about Ephraim Thomas? This guy, there's some guys that play an entire game and don't have as much to do being involved around the ball as Thomas has here in the first quarter. A good collision with the helmets and the left shoulder, and
changed a little paint there, didn't they?
Well, really, it's hopefully, yeah, they did exchange a little paint, to quote a colleague of ours. But you can hope that it really was the collision of the helmets and he's just dazed and not the shoulder injury. That'll allow him to come back.
Sure looks familiar, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
He has already been credited with 5 of Alabama's 11 tackles, but off he comes for the moment.
He's been a hawk around the ball all night.
Miami at the 45-yard line, second down and 7. No score, first quarter. George Teague taking Thomas's place. 7:42 to play in the period. Erickson on a roll, buying time, and then throwing, and the catch is made at the 32-yard line by Randy Bethel.
What a great throw by Erickson. Looking as he sprinted out, and finally coming up with Bethel, the best of the tight ends are receiving for Miami, but Erickson picking him up perhaps as a second or even a third receiver, crossing completely across the field. Little sprint to the right. Now watch this. This is all arms. And bang, he finds Bethel right over the middle, right between two defenders, and just a great pass by Erickson.
On first down, McGuire fights his way down to the 20-yard line, picking up about 6. It'll be 2nd and 4. McCants and Webb converge on the tackle.
Miami operating almost exclusively out of that trip formation, 3 wide receivers to one side of the field. They dictate to the defense when they do that. You can't play zone coverage when you have 3 wide receivers to one side of the field, and then a lot of times they'll bring a Carroll out of the backfield and actually put 4 wide receivers to one side of the field. That's a case where the offense dictates to the defense.
2nd and 3. Here's trip to the left as Conley takes it, picks up the first down, and gets to the 15-yard line, loses the ball, but they're going to whistle it dead.
Now, when you see the official still winding his arm, he's saying the play is down, inbounds, keep the game clock moving.
And it's a first down as he takes it to the 15-yard line.
which of course in college ball stops the clock there.
The parade of animals, the duck and the elephant, they're all over this field. A lot of color, a lot of atmosphere here.
I guess, do we throw it up to the replay booth? Because clearly that's a fumble all the way. You can see that thing pop out, and George Teague causes that ball to come loose, and you can only imagine what the Alabama crowd just saw on the replay board here at the Superdome. Yeah, that's a fumble all the way, but no replay in college football.
From the 15-yard line, McGuire inside the 10, and the freshman takes it down to the 9-yard line. Lee Osmond coming up to make the tackle. He really came on in the second half of the season. There are his numbers for the year. Steve McGuire, big night against Notre Dame.
Actually really got healthy. He had a pulled muscle and a hip pointer early on and missed a lot of his first camp. An Alabama player is down on the field, but
that's McCants.
That's his McCants.
Whoa. And a hush has come over the crowd here, which, as we mentioned before, solidly backing Alabama to the extent of about 4-1, I would estimate.
Kenny Wolf, our producer, is telling us he's got a shot of it down in the truck. Kenny, what do you got here? Here's McCants as he comes upfield. He's got to contain to the far side. Now he's thrown into a pursuit situation. Oh, you can see where he's actually leg whipped by Spencer Hammond, his own outside linebacker. And he took a shot to the leg from Hammond, number 44, whose legs were flying through the air. McCants is up and walking off.
Another look, that's McCants, top of your screen now.
And you can't tell if it happened while he was up in the air and it was actually the blow from Hammond's legs, or if he came down awkwardly and twisted something upon landing.
As he's coming off, he's favoring the left leg.
Well, this is the wrong place on the field to lose your enforcer. And Keith McCants, this guy is 6'5", 256 pounds, folks. 4'5", 40.
And his spot taken by Rodney Helton. So what it means is Alabama, for the moment, has lost McCants and Thomas, two vital defensive cogs. On 2nd and 4, here is McGuire breaking a tackle, but no. They say he was stopped at the 8-yard line. He was able to elude the grasp of Osmond, but after the play had been whistled dead.
Well, I think that situation where you give Osmond credit there, he turned him loose when he heard the whistle, because he very nonchalantly just said, okay, that's enough. And there's McCants on the sideline.
We talked about McGuire, his size. He is a real horse. He goes about 216 pounds, this freshman from Brooklyn, and you saw a moment ago they had blown the whistle, and he still was able to pull loose. We're going to see a lot of him down the line at Miami.
3rd and a long 2 from the 7-yard line. Erickson back to throw out of the end zone. Intended for Dale Dawkins. Osmond covering. And Miami is now 0 for 3 on 3rd down conversion opportunities. Let's check in with Swanee. Lynn?
Al, McCants has just bruised his thigh. The doctor said he'll be okay. They're going to wrap it up. Thomas, of course, got dinged a little bit on the other side. It's not a real concussion. He's just dazed. He'll be back in the ball game in 4 or 5 minutes. But unfortunately, big players are coming out at the wrong time.
And right now, Miami setting up to attempt a 25-yard field goal. Huerta with a ball to be spotted at the 15 at an angle to try to put Miami on the board, and contact is made.
Man, that'll give them a first down.
Yep.
Major error. They had to talk about that in the defensive huddle. Stay onside. You know they were talking about it.
Oh, that's clearly an Alabama offsides, and that will give Miami a first down inside the 5-yard line.
Lee Osmond, I believe.
Right in the middle. That's number 42, Lee Osmond, and he just makes contact, tries to get back, but the minute contact is made, it's a dead play.
Offside from the defense. First down.
Oh, you know, Dan, in a situation like that, when they huddle defensively, that's the first thing they say. A first down, stay onside. First down will give them a first. Or rather, offsides will give them a first.
Well, these aren't professional players. These are college guys. This is a bowl environment, Frank, and it's tough to be too harsh on them, but you're right. It's tough to make a bigger penalty than that, and of course there is Keith McCants back in the game for Alabama.
Miami with a 1st and goal from the 3. Here's McGuire, and McGuire plows into the end zone for a touchdown. So the Alabama penalty proves very costly. It will cost them, assuming the conversion is good, at least 4 points. Mike Sullivan and Louis Cristobal led the way for Miami as McGuire takes it in to put the Hurricanes on the board.
Just tremendous blocking to the left side of the Miami Hurricane offense, and then a good solid lead block up front by number 20, Crowell, and boy, they just stuffed it into the end zone.
Huerta for the extra point. And with 4 minutes and 55 seconds to play in the first quarter, Miami, thanks to McGuire's touchdown and Huerta's 92nd extra point, he has not missed one in his career. Hurricanes have the lead. Miami on top 7-0 again to set the situation. If Colorado defeats Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl, no question, and there's no score there in the second quarter, Colorado would be number 1. But if Notre Dame wins, well, you've got the Irish, you've got Miami here, and no question that the Hurricanes are keeping one eye on their home stadium, the Orange Bowl tonight. Michigan, of course, would be eliminated from consideration because USC won the Rose Bowl 17-10 earlier.
And if Alabama were to win this game tonight, they've got a legitimate plan.
Huerta sends it down to the 5-yard line. This is Gene Jelks bringing it back out to the 25. Alabama setting up shop there, and we can tell you that on Saturday, January the 13th, 2 great ABC Sports traditions make their season premieres. You will see the AC Delco Classic, another year of the Pro Bowlers Tour beginning the 13th of January. That's a week from Saturday. And then Wide World of Sports begins its 30th year. The Harlem Globetrotters will go to the U.S. Virgin Islands, lending emotional support to an area ravaged by Hurricane Hugo last September. And that's the 13th of January for bowling and Wide World on ABC. From the 25-yard line, Hollingsworth going over the middle wide open is Kevin Turner, and he picks up a first down as he gets it out to the 36-yard line. We mentioned they like to go to Turner, their second leading receiver this season. He caught 48 during the regular campaign. Talked about Miami's defense. There it is graphically, 9 points a game. Only 216 yards a game against them. Rushing defense, 69 yards per game, less than 2 yards per attempt. From the 36-yard line, they set up the screen. Here's Turner with some blocking. And Turner fighting his way out to the 48-yard line. And another Crimson Tide first down.
Beautifully set up that screen. Had 2 men out in front of Turner. Got a couple of blocks and gets the first down.
Well, I think it's exactly the type of offensive game plan Alabama has to stay with. They're going to throw the ball. They've already declared themselves, but throw it short. Make it a controlled type of passing attack. Be willing to pick it up at 6 and 7 and 8 and 10 yards at a time.
From the 48-yard line, keep it on the ground, the inside handoff, but it's Martin Houston really going nowhere. Tripped up in the backfield. And Greg Mark, number 94, in on the play. Mark with 15 and a half sacks and an AP First Team All-America selection this year.
Interesting where he might go professionally. He only goes about 240 pounds and 6'4". Whether or not he'd be big enough for defensive end, whether or not he could become a linebacker, of course, that is open to speculation, but he is a good one.
After this play, I'll touch on something with Mark.
Second down and 9. And a little screen. Initially avoiding the first man was Kevin Turner, and then he turns what would have been no gain or a loss into a minimal one after the 49-yard line.
Then it's Mark coming in and making that play from behind, and Frank, you brought up a good point about where would he play. You know, a role like Kevin Green fills with the Rams is something that comes immediately to mind with Greg Mark. He might not have the skills it takes to play a stand-up linebacker the whole time. He might not be big enough for that down defensive end, but he'd be perfect in that designated pass rusher type role, which is what he did right there.
He has a quickness, he has a speed. We just witnessed it.
Third down and 9. Hollingsworth throwing, and it's juggled and then caught. Saran Stacy taking it to the 46. He comes up about 4 yards short, however, of the first down, and Alabama forced to kick. Mark and Maryland converge on the tackle. 2:40 to go in the opening period.
Boy, great series for Greg Mark, huh? 3 consecutive plays, and Bill Curry, an old offensive lineman, has a conversation with his left tackle, Vince Strickland. Bill Curry, one of the great gentlemen in any professional or amateur sport. Fabulous guy.
Agreed. Bill Smith sends it down to the 6-yard line, and paying the price is Pee Wee Smith. Well, anytime you're going to try to run one back from inside the 10, you run the risk of paying that sort of price, and Antonio London is there to bury him.
As London plays only on special teams, and he timed this out beautifully. And Miami will begin deep in their own territory.
He pushed them all the way back to the 2, but his forward progress, they say, was right there at about the 6-yard line, and so that's where they take over. And this is McGuire turning the corner and run out of bounds out at the 11-yard line, and you saw number 5, Ephraim Thomas, who was shaken up earlier. He's back in the game and immediately makes his presence felt.
And that's really a play, really, that McGuire shouldn't have gotten to the outside on. It's really a statement as to what kind of team speed Miami has. Spencer Hammond really has the angle on him, has the outside contained, and yet still McGuire's able to turn the corner and pick up some positive yardage. Tremendous team speed on this Hurricane squad.
2nd and 5 from the 11. Miami on top 7-0. 2:05 to play in the first quarter. And the pass intended for Carroll is too high. Charles Gardner with the coverage. It'll be 3rd and 5 for the Hurricanes. Got a key here on McCants.
McCants put down into a down stance, just strictly a pass rusher. He collapses the left side of the Hurricane offensive line and puts the hit on Erickson. This guy is a name that you just might as well write down and get used to. He'll make a decision after the game whether or not to come back next year or go pro, but he's going to be around a long time.
3rd down and 5. Pressure on Erickson, and he's forced to throw it away.
And there's the series that Alabama needed from their defensive team. Smith makes a mistake fielding the ball inside his 10. They get great punt coverage, rather, and now their defense forces 3 downs and out.
Not the great names on such as the Miami defense, but they get the job done here. Here comes the pressure. McCants was there, Steve Webb was there, and Erickson had to unload it.
Tim Kalau to kick, and he'll accept this snap in the end zone. Gene Jelks to run it back. It's a wobbly line drive. Jelks at the 45 of Miami, and run out of bounds at the 37. So Alabama takes over in Miami territory. Jelks trying to get the crowd roused. That's easy to do here because you've got about 60,000 rooting for the Crimson Tide and 12 to 15,000 for the Hurricanes.
They did come in here a decided underdog, and I don't think they like that. They don't have the great names as we have come to know on this University of Miami team, particularly over the years. I mean, they had the heritage of the great names, the #1 draft picks out of Miami, but Alabama, smaller, quicker perhaps, but certainly they have a much more variety to their offense. Now they have a great opportunity to put it on the scoreboard. They're feisty, I think would be a pretty good way to characterize them. They scrap all the way.
From the 37-yard line, Hollingsworth throwing, and the catch is made by Craig Sanderson, and he is immediately forced out of bounds at the 26 by Kenny Berry.
Hollingsworth, Al mentioned earlier, didn't even start until the 3rd game of the season, a baseball player a year ago, and here he zips it in, gets the completion to Sanderson. But he's kind of scary to look at him. Hollingsworth, 6'4", about 180 pounds, and looks like you might be able to break him in half, but he's just hard to get to.
At the 26-yard line, this is Saran Stacy. He's got some room, and Stacy takes it down to the 17 where Charles Farr makes the tackle.
Alabama keeps coming back with the same play out of the shotgun. Miami probably thinking pass. They go into a pass rush, and it's an underneath handoff, but it basically is a draw play.
Well, I think so far it's a beautifully executed game plan by Alabama. Now, that's a lot to say for a team that doesn't have any points on the board yet, but Homer Smith, their offensive coordinator, has put together, I think, a very effective way to attack the Miami defense.
2nd down and 1 from the 17-yard line, and Hollingsworth on 2nd and 1 under pressure, and has it knocked down and nearly picked off by Russell Maryland, number 67. Part of that tough foursome. There is Maryland with Pegues and Cortez Kennedy, and we already talked about Greg Mark.
They are the best front four in college football. You will not find a group, and that's just a good timing by Maryland. Seeing that he's not going to get close enough for a sack, get up in the air and try and bat it away.
3rd and 1 from the 17-yard line, and picking up the first down is Derek Owens-Lassick. His first carry, he gets pushed back. Crowd wants a flag, but they don't get it. Forward progress nets Owens-Lassick the first down, and Alabama keeping the drive alive inside the 15.
Super effort on the part of Derek Owens-Lassick. He does lack all three of the names. Over the top and close to a face mask call, but picking up the first down, Alabama.
1st and 10 from the 14-yard line. 40 seconds to play. First quarter. 7-0 Miami.
Look out.
Hollingsworth throwing. Stacy makes the catch and nearly broke it, but Maurice Crum was able to drag him down and save the touchdown.
Boy, and Cortez Kennedy was right in Hollingsworth's face. I mean, he didn't even get touched at the line of scrimmage. Kennedy with tremendous penetration, forcing a quick throw, and Hollingsworth is, I mean, how do you describe this guy? Take a look at it from behind. Look how quickly Kennedy is in there. Hollingsworth has to throw off his back heel, has to throw off balance, and yet he still gets the completion to Stacy. An incredible kid.
2nd down and 3, and before they snap it, time has expired. So the first quarter is over. At the end of 1 quarter of play, Miami is leading, but Alabama is driving. When we come back to start the 2nd quarter at the Sugar Bowl after this message and a word from our ABC station.
The USF&G Sugar Bowl, brought to you by Today's Chevrolet, who invites you to see why nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America.
Back at the USF&G Sugar Bowl. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, and Dan Deerdorf. 7-0 Miami as we start the 2nd quarter, but it's 2nd down and 3. Alabama at the 7-yard line.
And here comes the Miami blitz.
And Hollingsworth on a timing pattern throws, but incomplete, intended for Sanderson. Kenny Berry was back there covering with him.
And there's a situation where if Kenny Berry looks back to the quarterback rather than just playing the receiver all the way, he has a relatively easy interception.
I don't think that Kenny Berry had any idea this ball was even en route. He turns around, he's got it.
Yep, if he turns around a little bit before he does, he's got an easy interception.
Oh.
That should have been an Alabama touchdown.
Contact up front.
And a fight.
And a scuffle. All right, Dan, you'll be doing boxing next month. Analyze this.
You want a little blow-by-blow?
Sure, no. Just a little analysis now.
No, that's Alex's department.
Okay.
I'll tell you who's in the red trunks, who's in the blue trunks. In the crimson trunks, Alabama, and this is, looks like Russell Maryland, the guy involved from the Miami defensive side.
Ball, defense offside.
Well, I guess this is a situation where turnabout is fair play. There we have a defensive penalty against Miami, which is going to give Alabama a first down on the heels of Alabama making the mistake, which gave Miami a first down, in which they went on ahead and scored. Maryland is really just responding to his own guy coming up over the top, Shane Curry.
It gives Alabama a 1st and goal just inside the 4. and the up back goes nowhere. Martin Houston runs into the middle of the Miami defense, and again now Miami's so tough against the run. Richard Newbill is right there. It's second down and goal at the 4.
That's your basic number one defense of the nation against the rush, and I would presume that we will see something of the unusual nature on the part of Alabama, some type of a rollout, something a little different, because I don't believe that Bill Curry thinks he can just ram it in there.
Well, in 11 games this season, Miami gave up only 4 touchdowns on the ground. Second down and goal from the 4.
If I was Alabama, I'd be tempted to stay in the shotgun.
Little fake toss, and then the pass is incomplete. The coverage was there. Kevin Turner covered by Ryan McNeil, who stayed right with him despite the good play fake by Hollingsworth. Third down and goal at the 4.
Ryan McNeil has come on strong for Miami over that corner ever since the injury to Roland Smith.
I think we'll see Alabama spread it a little bit here. Yeah, here they go to the shotgun. I would have stayed in the shotgun on first and second down.
That's what's got you here.
Ninth play of the drive. Third down and goal. Hollingsworth under pressure has to fire quickly, and touchdown caught by Marco Battle.
Newbill was pressuring, and Hollingsworth has put together a superb drive. Twice he gets the completion with a Miami Hurricane right in his face.
Philip Doyle for the point after to try to tie the game. And the Crimson Tide march down the field. When you pass the battle for the touchdown, and the game tied at 7.
When you put the all-out blitz on a quarterback, you're saying to him, I don't think you can beat us. I don't think you can defeat my blitz. That's what Miami that time said to Gary Hollingsworth, and he proved that he could, and that is very, very close to being dropped in the end zone. Look at the top of your screen. There comes Richard Newbill, and Hollingsworth falling backwards, Frank, makes a heck of a throw.
Put it where it had to be put. The coverage wasn't bad by Farms, but a great play by Hollingsworth.
USF&G Sugar Bowl. Second-ranked Miami, seventh-ranked Alabama. Teams tied 7-7, 14:07 to go in the half. Alan Ward will kick off for the Crimson Tide. Randall Hill and Alex Johnson are back for the Hurricanes. Johnson at the 4. And he's back out to the 23-yard line. Antonio London, who made a crunching hit the last time Alabama kicked off, is down there to make the tackle here again. So Miami now at the 23-yard line, the Hurricanes second ranked, and of course Colorado and Notre Dame having a battle at the Orange Bowl, no score late in the first half. You know, Miami's really got to think about playing only one opponent tonight and not think about what's going on at the Orange Bowl as well. It's going to be tough.
That can hurt. You're looking over your shoulder. You're trying to keep track of what's happening. It's going to help you. That's not a good situation.
Well, this is a road game for Miami. I mean, this cannot be confused with a neutral site. This is an Alabama home game.
From the 22-yard line, the pass to Wesley Carroll is caught in Alabama territory. To the 46-yard line he goes as Charles Gardner makes the tackle. So Wesley Carroll has given Miami a first down in Crimson Tide territory.
Carroll had 4 100-yard games over the season. He does about a 4.4 40. Goes about 6'1", good receiver. That ball hung up there for a long time, and Charles Gardner slow getting back from that free safety area where he has to roam that entire outfield.
Well, Keith McCants is also a guy assigned to run with Carroll, and that's a mismatch.
Here's Alex Johnson on first down. The ball comes loose, but the play is over after a gain of a couple down to the 44. Spencer Hammond.
Yeah, they're expecting an awful lot of him.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's one of the beautiful parts of this Erickson offense, where he puts Carroll in the backfield, along with 3 wide receivers in the game, and then he runs Carroll out of the backfield on a pass route, and what he does is he ends up either a linebacker or maybe not the fastest of defensive backs ends up having to cover this guy, and that's a mismatch.
Particularly if you can get Keith McCants out of the pass rush.
Yeah, you're right. You're killing two birds with one stone there.
2nd and 7, and Carroll makes the catch again, and that's a first down as McCants is there to make the tackle, and we've got a marker down back at or close to the line of scrimmage.
That's exactly what you talked about a moment ago, Dan. They bring Carroll, the tailback, in motion, and they hook him up with McCants.
Let's take a look, if we could, at the hit on the quarterback. You could see the helmet by Steve Webb as he goes and tries to hit Erickson up high, and that's what draws the flag.
Well, I don't know about that one.
It hardly was what I would call a life-threatening blow, but then again, you could certainly see from that angle the intent to strike him with the crown of his helmet was there, and Bill Curry expressing his displeasure. Right, very, very iffy call.
At the 18-yard line after the march-off, nothing doing in the middle. Alex Johnson finds no room at all. It'll be 2nd down and 10, and McCants comes back into the game.
And you can see his right thigh, how heavily it's taped. He got that thigh bruise when he was hit by his own teammate, Spencer Hammond, the heel of his shoe right in the thigh.
I'll tell you, Miami may be the university of the quarterback with Jim Kelly and Kozar and Testaverde and now Erickson, but how about linebackers with Alabama? Eric Thomas from last year, Cornelius Bennett, PJ Jr. They've had some great ones.
2nd and 10 from the 18-yard line. Erickson for the end zone, touchdown! And this drive belonging to Wesley Carroll, who catches 3, including this one worth 6 points, 18 yards from Erickson to Carroll. And recall on that last series, Carroll, who'd missed that Notre Dame game with a separated shoulder, had come out. But back he comes, and he comes back in and catches 3 on the drive, and Miami has the lead again.
Miami biting it off in big chunks that time.
Well, this time they moved Carroll out of the backfield. He's actually lined up as the inside receiver. He makes his break to the sideline, and George Teague is locked up with him one-on-one and gives away the outside and is really in no position to recover.
Carlos Huerta, and a problem with the snap results in a blocked kick. And so they miss the extra point, and Erickson is furious.
It looked like that pressure came right up the middle.
That's an interesting miss as well. We mentioned before, Huerta had been 92 of 92 in his career. Here's his first ever miss.
It doesn't look like a great deal of penetration up front. That's a low kick. That's a low kick by Huerta.
Hold wasn't all that bad. Little bobble, there it is. The bobble, the timing is off. Huerta drills it right into the defender.
Yeah, that's why the kick was low. You could see the nose of the ball was even tilted forward. The holder that time, Tim Kalal, and the mistake results, Miami loses a point.
Tim Kalal, the holder that time, having trouble getting it down for Huerta, and then the block by Mike Ramil, number 92.
Yeah, you can see the fumble of the ball, and the nose of the ball is actually tilted forward, and it's virtually impossible for a kicker to get any elevation on the ball when it's in that position.
Ramil goes 6'7".
Here's Gene Jelks running it back from the 4 and gets taken down by his neck out at the 20-yard line by Jesse Armstead, who Dennis Erickson was telling us about yesterday. Where's number 1? He's a linebacker by trade, and Erickson says, remember that name. We can't forget the number. I mean, it's a great number for anybody, especially a linebacker.
It's tough to spot. You see the halftime score there over in the Orange Bowl, Notre Dame and Colorado. And touching on Armstead for a minute, Dennis Erickson telling us he was the most highly recruited linebacker in the country last year. He chose Miami.
Out of the shotgun, Saran Stacy takes it out to the 26-yard line. Now, I know you're not going to believe this, but Saran Stacy is named after Saran Wrap. We were watching him last night on a local show, and I thought he was kidding around and trying to fool the guy doing the interview. So I asked him tonight. He said, nope, my mom just thought it would be unusual. It's not spelled the way Saran Wrap is spelled, though, S-A-R-A-N. So not only is it unusual, it's misspelled, but folks, it's the truth.
And he laughed about it.
Yeah.
Of course, what else are you going to do about it?
Second and 3 from the 26-yard line.
Spend your life spelling it.
It's Derek Owens-Lassick to the 27-yard line.
We talked about the recruiting of Miami. The fact that they play basically a pro defense as well as a pro offense, that has to help them as they go around the country. So many youngsters now coming out of high school. If you're a good high school football player, you're thinking later on about playing professional football. And if you where are you going to go? Well, if you get an opportunity, you're going to go to Miami because they play the type of offense and defense that is a stepping stone to the pros.
And your most effective recruiting tool is television, and Miami gets plenty of that.
3rd down and 2 from the 27-yard line out of the shotgun. Hollingsworth flipping it out to Kevin Turner, and Turner seeking that first down, but coming up about 2 yards short. Greg Mark, and we have him isolated. Makes the tackle on the play with 10.5 minutes to go in the half.
And I think there goes Mark again, showing that he has that kind of mobility to play that pass rusher, guy that can float out, cover someone if he has to. But the sideline-to-sideline type of player that Greg Mark is guarantees that he'll be a success in the NFL. Going to be a good one.
Bill Smith is the Alabama punter. Pee Wee Smith back for Miami. And Pee Wee fumbles at the 32-yard line. Big pile up. No signal yet. Still no signal.
Now there's a ref who's concerned. He gets in there. It's not often you'll see a referee get down on all fours.
Alabama.
Who's in there on the bottom of it again, as he has been all night long. Antonio London still getting up. He's a little groggy, but this guy has been around the ball on just about every special teams play of the evening for Alabama.
Pee-wee taking it in the chest. You don't catch the ball on a punt against your chest. You lose it like that every time. You catch it out on your hands. So if you do drop it, it doesn't bounce away from you. It drops right at your feet.
The official right in there like a mole burrowing into the crowd trying to find the ball.
And London roots it out at the 34-yard line. Hollingsworth throwing over the middle to Turner to the 30-yard line. He is stopped by Bernard Clark. 9:45 to go in the first half.
Bernard Clark, he of the tremendous game against Notre Dame. I guess if there's one trademark of his career, Frank, I guess would be a lack of consistency and turning in that big game week in, week out.
And he can have as good a game as anyone playing at the collegiate level when he is fired and ready, as he was against Notre Dame.
2nd down and 6. He seems to really rise to the occasion, does Clark, the tougher the opposition. Though in talking, getting some information from the people who have talked to the scouts who checked out the Miami defense, they think he'll go in about the 5th round or so. They don't know about Greg Mark. The guy they know is going to go in the 1st round is Cortez Kennedy.
Cortez about 300 pounds at that defensive tackle spot.
Well, he's built almost exactly the same as Jerome Brown, the other great Miami defensive lineman who now toils with the Eagles. And we'll be back in a moment to the Sugar Bowl. Miami holding that 6-point lead.
Timeout, Hurricanes. New Orleans, site of the Sugar Bowl. And play resumes after a Miami timeout. Alabama 3rd and a long 3 from the 27-yard line with Stacey in motion and Hollingsworth to throw, and it's knocked down. Intended for battle and getting the hand in there was Ryan McNeil to bust the play up. Well, here's a reminder that Sunday on ABC Sports, our first golf telecast of 1990, featuring 1989 winners from both PGA and Seniors Tour. The Money Tournament of Champions. Curtis Strange among those scheduled to compete, 3 Eastern, 2 Central, and Pacific this Sunday. Field goal attempt of 45 yards for Philip Doyle. His career long is 53. Long enough and good.
Well, that would have matched the career.
He missed earlier from 51. This time from 45 and a lot to spare.
Well, and you see that makes the score now 13-10 in favor of Miami, and that's why Dennis Erickson was so crazed at the missed extra point. It almost negates a touchdown. Great effort up in the middle by Miami in trying to block it, but this kick had plenty on it, and the direction was perfect. But it's still a 3-point ball game where it should be a 4-point ball game if Miami converts their extra point.
I think it works for you psychologically, and it works in fact, because you can think a lot differently when you are only down by 3.
And right now you have to say that the University of Alabama coming into this game as a 9-point underdog, and having to live with talk like, geez, I hope we can hang in there, and I hope it's still a ball game going into the second half. They have played exceptionally well, and being led by Gary Hollingsworth, their quarterback, who's making good, smart decisions at the helm.
Last night they went some 50 miles away. The team and the coaching staff, nobody knew where they went. They went over to Diamond Head, Mississippi to quiet down, cool off. It's been wild here in New Orleans all week long.
Alan Ward to the 10. Randall Hill up past the 30 and finally tackled out at the 38-yard line by, guess who, number 55, Antonio London.
A little bit of showboating everybody.
There's London, who's made 3 tackles and recovered a fumble, and let's get a word from Lynn Swann.
Al, I'm with Derek Thomas, a great linebacker from Alabama, and he was talking to the Bama defensive players. Derek, what were you telling them?
Well, I was telling them right now, I don't think Miami really thinks it was going to be as easy as they thought it was going to be from the beginning.
So what does that mean on the football field?
That means that if you come in and you think you've intimidated the team and you get to a certain point and you see where they're not intimidated, then you start to wonder.
You also said you talked to some of the Miami players, and what did they say to you about this football team in Alabama's?
Well, they asked me, did I really think our team could really play with their team? And, at Alabama we learned that you never quit. It's never over till it's over. And we go through an off-season program called the Lower Gym, and I don't think Miami's been through it, so I don't think anybody's going to quit out there today.
All right, thank you very much.
All right.
Al?
All right, thank you, Lynn. Leonard Conley took it out to the 47-yard line for a gain of close to 9, making it 2nd down and 1 Miami with 8:20 to play. First half, Miami leading Alabama by 3. Seeking the first down, but not getting it, is Leonard Conley, who is pushed back. Vantrease Davis met him as he came across the line of scrimmage, senior from Phoenix City, Alabama.
See, the bandit of the Mike. Some very special names. Whatever it is, he makes quite a contact. He goes about 221. They use him in the pass coverage. They use him as a blitzing, stunting linebacker type.
How about this linebacking core of Alabama's last year with Thomas, McCants, Davis, Hammond? I mean, that had to be the best group in the country.
3rd and 1, and for the first time, Miami is able to convert tonight on a 3rd down play as Stephen McGuire takes it down to the Alabama 44-yard line. And there is McCants.
There's McCants, who, as we told you earlier, has a good chance of being the first player taken in the draft. We just heard from Broderick Thomas, who last year was the AFC, Derek Thomas, not Broderick Thomas. Derek Thomas, who was the AFC Defensive Rookie of the Year, and a guy who just really turned the defensive tide of the Kansas City Chiefs all the way around. What a tremendous player Derek Thomas is.
From the 45-yard line, pressure is on, but Erickson is able to step up and then gets tripped up at the 40. That's a nice tackle by Charles Gardner after Erickson improvises for about a 5-yard gain, but it would have been about a 10 to 15-yard gain were it not for that tackle.
Gardner coming in on the pass rush. Bottom of your screen, nobody there, and a good move by Erickson just to avoid the sack. And Gardner with a nice tackle, diving tackle that prevents the first down on the part of Erickson.
2nd and 6 at the 40. McCants is back in. A little misdirection for Alex Johnson, who exploits it, picks up the first down and a lot more out of bounds at the 17-yard line. Lee Osmond running him out of bounds at the 17.
That's the speed that Dennis Erickson was telling us about Alex Johnson. A little delay, a little counter. We've seen a lot of this, have we, Dan?
It's the same old counter gap, counter tray. The left tackle Sullivan, the left guard Cristobal come around, and boy, that's explosive speed by Alex Johnson.
Wasn't Jim Lachey, but
it worked.
It worked.
And Osmond saved a touchdown.
1st and 10, Hurricanes at the 17. They lead by 3. Quarterback draw, and it's Erickson. Not even a draw, really a sneak, as Erickson saw the hole in the middle and just exploited it. Jelks is there to make the tackle.
That's just he in the center, Bobby Garcia, saying, hey, we've got something here.
Well, take a look at this gap right here in the middle. Erickson knows he's gone. He ran his back out of the formation. Alex Johnson took off. You see he has no backs at all, and that's a pretty poor excuse of covering the middle by Alabama defensively. A major error.
2nd and 1, and busting through the middle is Conley for a first down as he takes it to the 2-yard line. 1st and goal.
Another 5'9", 170-pounder. Leonard Conley. We watched Alex Johnson a moment ago. 5'9", 170-pounder, but they do play tough.
You saw that 25, in memory of Kevin Gibbs. There it is on the back of each of the Hurricane helmets. Kevin Gibbs, a defensive back, killed in a car accident in December. McGuire, and he gets taken down by the cornerback, John Mangum, a good one, who comes up to break up the play at the line of scrimmage.
In the Alabama terminology, he's the hit man. Mangum is called their hit corner. He's the corner that always goes to the strong side of the formation, which more often than not will put him in a very heavy run support duty. Not a big guy, though, only 174 pounds. It's not a big Alabama secondary at all.
2nd and goal, and it's Johnson to the short side of the field, slipping a tackle, taking it in, getting by McCants for the touchdown. McCants missed him. So the slippery Johnson to the short side of the field as they sent 3 receivers to the left and ran it back the other way, and he runs it right by McCants for a touchdown.
And there is the matchup that the Alabama defensive coaches wanted. They had their stud man, their big guy, McCants, coming to the outside. It's one-on-one with Johnson. Watch this.
And he gets the shot, but a quick move to the outside by the speedy Johnson, and McCants comes away with air.
Pretty nifty move by Johnson.
Carlos Huerta's extra point is good. And so the Hurricanes march down the field. And the Hurricanes, no doubt aware that they are scoreless at the Orange Bowl in the game between Notre Dame and Colorado at the half. And they have padded their lead, has Miami 20-10.
Earlier in the year, we saw Eric Metcalf of the Browns wearing number 21 give a little bit of a move like that, the inside back to the outside, and boy, he just leaves McCants on the ground.
5 minutes and 8 seconds remaining in the first half at the Sugar Bowl. In New Orleans, Al Michaels with Frank Gifford and Dan Deerdorf. The USF&G Sugar Bowl with Miami on top 20-10. Carlos Huerta to kick off. Gene Jelks and Pierre Good back to receive for Alabama. A bouncing kick fielded at the 5-yard line. Pierre Good brings it back to the 20, where he is met by a quintet of Hurricanes, and Alabama will start its drive from that spot. As we take a look at the numbers on the scoring drive, Miami impressively moving downfield, 62 yards in 9 plays, and Johnson taking it over, slipping a tackle by McCants for the TD. 20-10 here, and in Miami at the half, scoreless. Notre Dame number 4, Colorado unbeaten, and number 1. And everybody's talking about what's going to happen if Notre Dame wins. You know, what you could have is a split national championship. People keep forgetting. You've got AP, you've got UPI, you've got the USA Today CNN poll, you've got the New York Times poll from the 20. The catch is made by Prince Wimbley, who takes it out to the 36-yard line. Speaking of polls in the New York Times poll, Miami is already #1.
Well, they use a computer, right?
There's Wembley showing that the guys in the orange and white aren't the only ones who can get involved with the crowd, and I think you see what Mr. Curry thinks of that.
Well,
Bill Curry is saying, Prince, my man, you do that one more time and you're on the bench.
And Prince is saying, Bill, my man, you got to understand, I'm from Miami. Prince Wembley is from Miami.
Prince isn't saying a word.
You're right. Well, he's thinking it anyway. Here's Kevin Turner to the 40-yard line for a gain of 4. Bernard Clark makes the tackle.
I've had a coach have my face mask before. You don't say anything.
Bill Curry played for Vince Lombardi, and I think that's where he was conditioned. It's a team sport. Just because you make the reception, what about those offensive linemen that gave your quarterback time to get there? This will probably be the last time you'll see Prince Wembley do this while he's playing for Bill Curry.
Well, let's put it this way. That's the same response that Wembley would have gotten from Bear Bryant. I'll guarantee you that.
Curry turned the Prince into a pauper on that one. Murray Hill, who sounds like an old New York City telephone prefix, takes it out to the 44-yard line. Murray Hill started the season. He was their #1 back, and then he got hurt. He fractured 5 ribs against Tennessee. That gave Saran Stacy the opportunity to play on a more full-time basis. And Hill's been hurt, but back he comes for postseason action.
He is about a 4.3 speedster. They like to have him in there. He could break the big one.
3rd and 2, and this is Stacy trying to dive for the first down, and it's going to be close.
Yeah, he's going to need a real good spot to get this. I don't know if he got it or not. But you know, if you're Alabama, 3.5 minutes left in the first half, you're already down by 10 points, playing a heavy favorite. If you've got 6 inches to go for the first down, you're up towards midfield. What do you do? All right, let's watch Saran Stacy. He dives. Where does he come down? Well, first of all, he lands on his own player and keeps going. He doesn't actually touch the ground. His knees don't hit. Oh, here we go, Bill. Tough choice. Tough choice.
And he's going to go for it.
Yeah, I don't think he has much of a choice at all.
Against the #1 defense in the nation against the rush.
Well, he's going to either go, he'll go for it, or he's going to line up and hope to draw them offside. One or the other.
Well, you're the underdog. You're already down by 10.
4th and inches, and they sneak it for, I believe, a first down. Hollingsworth appears to have it.
Boy, that was hardly what I would call an explosive quarterback sneak.
No.
You follow your overachieving center, Roger Schultz.
But it's effective nonetheless, even though they are going to measure. It appears as if he has it.
Well, let's put it this way. When you saw that he only needed 2 or 3 inches, and when you watched the play and you saw how much forward movement that Hollingsworth had, I can't see any way he didn't get the first down. And it is the first down.
And it comes with 3:23 remaining in the first half.
Both of these coaches extremely personable. Dennis Erickson in his first year at Miami, but Bill Curry, again, as we take a look at it, Bernard Clark, number 57, was the linebacker that ended up making the play.
From the 46-yard line, it's caught by Murray Hill, and he's tackled by Clark at midfield, takes the ball into Miami territory. On the subject of these coaches, when we write our movie, guys, and Kenny Wolf produces it, Craig Janoff directs it, there's the man who plays the coach.
Well,
is that a coach's face or what?
I've known Bill Curry for 15 years. At one point in time, he was the president of the NFL Players Association. A nicer guy, a more quality human being, never lived.
But you would not mind sending him out to meet the gunslinger.
Nope.
2nd and 5. Kevin Turner, no gain. Bernard Clark and Russell Maryland push him back.
Talked about his career with Lombardi. Up there in 66 and 67, and went on to be all-pro center with Baltimore.
And we can talk about his situation in Alabama. The fact that he's not a Bama guy. Bill went to Georgia Tech. a bitter feud between Alabama and the followers and the alumni of Georgia Tech, and
he had nothing to do with it. It goes back years.
I don't know if he won 5 national championships in Alabama, if there's a certain portion of their alumni that would ever accept him.
3rd down and 4 from the 48-yard line as Hollingsworth throws, and the catch is made, and a first down.
Boy, Hurley Brown comes up and puts a major shot on Lamond Russell. I mean, that's just the way it's supposed to be, guys.
Russell is a tight end, but he's not a very big tight end. He only goes about 213, and Brown hammers him, but Russell is able to hold on to the football and get the first down once again. Leading receiver for Alabama, tight end, but you lose a little something with the run game when you have him in there.
From the 36-yard line, Hollingsworth throws, and the catch is made for another first down by Prince Wimbley. And we guarantee you there'll be no celebration this time.
No, let the 70,000 Alabama fans in the Superdome here, they'll handle that, Prince. You know, and that's what you got to like about Bill Curry. He didn't like what Wimbley did, but he doesn't send him to the bench for the rest of the game. He gets him back out there and lets him play.
And he made a great move, spinning the defensive back completely around.
But there are some coaches where you make a mistake like that, you only get one of them. You're on the bench, and we've got an offsides here on one or the other. Miami came across, but did someone from Alabama move? That's the question.
Roger Schultz and Cortez Kennedy was the pairing. And they say it's Kennedy.
I think what we're going to see is a good play by Schultz, who's going to prematurely snap the ball when he's aware that Miami's across the ball.
Offside, still first down.
You know, a good center will snap the ball, even if it's early, when he knows that the other team is in the neutral zone. He'll pick up an automatic 5 yards if he's smart.
Little hard count by Hollingsworth, the quarterback, perhaps. There it is. Look at that Miami defensive line surge.
And there's the early snap. You saw no one from Alabama moving. That's a 5-yard play by Schultz, the center.
From the 8, here's Stacy looking for room and wrapped up as he reaches the 7-yard line, and Kennedy is right there at the bottom of the pile minus his helmet.
As you watch Hollingsworth, it's hard to believe that this is his first year of varsity football. And he didn't start until the 3rd game when Jeff Dunn was injured. And I think he is, well, when you talk to Bill Curry about him, and he's just amazed at the way he has developed.
Well, he said, we were really hoping at the beginning of the year that he'd be able to compete for a backup role. We weren't even sure that he was going to be qualified to be our backup quarterback.
2nd and 4, clock down to 45 seconds. Miami ahead by 10, first half. Here's the fake to Stacy. Hollingsworth throws, touchdown, Lamond Russell.
You better hope that Bill didn't see that, Lamont. And this is a gritty Alabama football team, just like their coach.
They answer 2 strong Miami touchdown drives with their own. Let's watch the leading receiver, the tight end, Lamond Russell, once again. And they use him often as a wingback, stand-up wingback, and that's exactly what he was. But Hollingsworth finding the open gap, and it was not much, fires it in there.
Yep, it got right in between Clark and Farms, and a bullet by Hollingsworth in the soft part of the zone.
Philip Doyle for the point after. 11 plays, 80 yards. Takes 4:28 for the time to go all the way down the field and draw back within 3.
Hollingsworth kind of scary out there in those little legs.
Well, their game plan of disregarding their running game and just trying to beat Miami by throwing the football has put 17 points on the board so far by Alabama. They trail by 3.
So Alabama driving down the field, and go back on that drive and think about, remember that critical decision by Curry near midfield, 4th down, less than a yard. Sneak got it, and in they went, and Russell, the tight end, makes the catch for the touchdown. It's 20-17. Phil Doyle to kick off for the Crimson Tide. Hill and Johnson back to receive, and it's a bouncing kick. Johnson takes it at the 19, and not much room to roam for Alex, who is out of bounds at the 27. 35 seconds left in the first half.
And Derek Thomas said it well to Lynn Swan. we've got their attention, speaking for Alabama, and I think that indeed Alabama does have Miami's attention.
Miami has 2 timeouts remaining. 35 seconds. They're at the 27-yard line. Erickson sending everybody out into the pattern and has it picked off. Lee Osment out of bounds at the 27-yard line.
I think I saw a flag come in at the end on the sideline, and this looks like this may go against Miami as well. And Dennis Erickson can't believe it. You see the face mask against the Canes. So Miami, instead of sitting on their 3-point lead and heading into the locker room at halftime, chooses to be aggressive, and it backfires.
Underthrown, and the future barrister was right there. Lee Osment, headed for law school. That ball just flat underthrown. Poor pass by Erickson, and then Osment looks for the sideline, tries to pick up a little bit of a picket line, and you'll see the face mask coming over the top.
Well,
and there it is.
Dawkins.
Darryl Dawkins, the wide receiver.
So at the 19 now, Alabama with all of their timeouts, 26 ticks of the clock remaining.
Keep in mind the misconversion.
And they go away from the shotgun. They go back under center.
Keep it on the ground with Stacy, and he gets wrapped up back at the 24-yard line. Cortez Kennedy leading the charge.
You will now see the shotgun.
Yeah, I don't want to play offensive coordinator here, but that is how that Alabama has had success during the course of the evening. Moving the ball is from the shotgun. They've gotten nowhere under center and got nowhere once again. Well, they got a -4 yards is what they got.
Well, Homer Smith, the offensive coordinator,
who's brilliant, no question about it, and his game plan tonight of attacking Miami out of the shotgun, it can't work much better than it has. But why go away from it now?
Homer Smith, Princeton graduate in economics, master's degree in business from Stanford, and a master's in theology from Harvard. That's not a bad duty.
No, that's
I wonder where he was trying to grow.
Alabama taking a timeout.
Hollingsworth looking like he's just taking a little walk in the park. I mean, this guy is nonplussed about anything.
Hurricanes ahead by 3. At the 23-yard line, it'll be 2nd down and 14 for the Crimson Tide.
Of course, this is where you look for your front four to make something happen. And
there's the shotgun.
If you're going to ask for something, this front four can deliver. Yep, there's the gun.
Hollingsworth overthrowing Marco Battle.
Battle was there. It would have had to have been the perfect throw, but he was there.
And he was open by about 3 yards.
It'll be 3rd and 14. They are well within Doyle's range right now for a field goal. It would be a 41-yard attempt if they come up empty on this play from the 24-yard line. 14 seconds remaining. And a little shovel pass to Stacy, and Mark drags him down from behind. And now they can take a timeout and set up for a tying field goal attempt.
Boy, it has just been a sensational first half turned in by Greg Mark. His duties that time, get upfield, make sure no one gets outside, and then collapse back to the inside if you can, and that's exactly what he does. Make sure the play to Stacy has to go to his inside, and yet has the quickness and the abilities to react back to the inside and get in and make the play.
So here comes a 40-yard field goal attempt by Philip Doyle.
Greg Mark, visibly concerned this evening. Serious condition of his grandfather in a New Jersey hospital. Mother unable to be here. She usually travels to all the games.
40-yard attempt by Doyle is no good. So Doyle, who had missed from 51 and then made a 45-yarder. This is a 40-yard attempt. Here's a guy who's missed 2 tonight. He's missed only 3 all season coming into tonight's game. He was 22 out of 25.
And as with all soccer kickers, the ball has a natural hook to it, and he just did not play this out far enough to the right. It never really had a chance. As you can see, it had plenty of distance as it hits about 20 yards up into the net.
And, of course, you offset that, the holder does, with a little cock to the right. That was a good hold. That was just a flat miss.
And now Erickson and the Hurricanes just fall on the ball, and that'll close out the first half.
So the interception does not prove costly. Good first half at the Sugar Bowl.
Well, you know what it was, Al? It was hard hitting. There were big plays. And it was just good, hard-nosed football played by both these clubs.
And Miami leaving the field ahead by 3. And, of course, keeping one eye on the Orange Bowl, where they are scoreless at the half there. Miami number 2 in the country, Alabama number 7. And we'll return to the Superdome in New Orleans to the USF&G Sugar Bowl after this message and a word from our ABC station. So here we go as we start the second half. The Miami Hurricanes leading by 3. Colorado trailing by 14 in Miami. Alabama receiving the second half kick. Pierre Goud from the 5 snakes his way out to the 14-yard line, and Alabama will take over there, and we'll take a look at the numbers through the first 30 minutes of play.
And of course, you see that it's Miami that has aided their opponents by turning the ball over a couple of times. Time of possession favors Alabama, and the yardage by 90 yards goes to Miami. But it has been Alabama that has played opportunistic football in half number 1.
From the 15-yard line, out of the shotgun. Hollingsworth looked like he was throwing a field goal attempt.
Well, it looked like it was tipped at the line. I think it might have been Greg Mark that got a hand on the ball. Imagine that, Mark being around the football. He had as good a first half as a player could have, and he opens up the second half by, on the very first play, not getting close to the quarterback, but timing his leap well and getting a hand on the ball. Just grazing it, but enough to cause the incompletion.
2nd and 10. Murray Hill and Kevin Turner.
And again,
are next to Hollingsworth.
And Hollingsworth calling all the plays at the line.
And this time the play is broken up. Kevin Turner could not get out of the backfield. The charge is led by Cortez Kennedy.
A little different reaction on the part of Miami's defense this time. They come with the blitz. They cover every gap. And that play that was so effective, a little draw play or a counter play, was stuffed back at the 10-yard line for a loss.
Well, they didn't even block Kennedy. I mean, no one on the Alabama offensive line even touched Cortez Kennedy. A blown assignment all the way.
3rd and 15 from the 10-yard line. Hollingsworth steps up and then throws, but well short of the first down. Murray Hill gets tackled by Maurice Crum, and the Crimson Tide will be forced to punt. So nothing doing on the Tide first possession of the second half.
Miami
Smith goes back to receive this kick. He fumbled the last time.
Miami should get excellent field position on this.
I like his jersey, P.W. Smith.
That's great, isn't it?
See if he handles the ball a little away from his body.
Old P.W.
Bill Smith with a kick. And P.W. doesn't come close to this one. Alabama downs it at its own 47-yard line, and so there's Miami on the Crimson Tide side of the field.
Certainly did not handle it away from the body, did he?
No.
I believe as Pee-wee gets older that he may start using the P.W. a little bit more. I don't know that how many 50-year-old guys you know named Pee-wee?
Pee-wee Reese.
The only one I can think of. Yeah. I mean, so you know one. That's not enough to make a good case.
Pee-wee Herman.
He's not 50.
From the 46.
In fact, I'm not sure what he is.
Erickson throws down the 24-yard line. Wesley Carroll, and a flag is down. 2, in fact, in the offensive backfield. And it's holding against Miami.
Oh, that'll make a great effort on the part of Wesley Carroll. Outstanding catch inside the 25-yard line. Let's see who they call that against.
Might have been Bobby Garcia.
Holding on the offense. Still first down.
New for us. They don't tell us here in college football, do they?
No, they give these guys a break, and I really think it's a good rule. I don't think that you need to take an 18 or a 19-year-old kid and single him out in front of the crowd in attendance or the country on a nationally televised game and call his name out and say, hey, you held, you cost your team.
Kind of refreshing, too, not to have the replay, isn't it?
Second and 21, and over the middle, the catch is made by Chudzinski, the tight end, Rob Chudzinski, his first catch of the night, taking it to the Alabama 47, which was just about the original line of scrimmage.
I don't know how Dennis Erickson is handling the score from the Orange Bowl. Notre Dame with a 14-0 lead over Colorado, whether he's telling the players or not. I don't know how he's handling that.
A great effort by Chudzinski. That ball thrown back behind him and extremely high. And boy, that's excellent body control, snaring that ball.
So we would get Lynn Swan to see how they're dealing with that.
Second down and 11. And the pass is thrown out of bounds, intended for Randall Hill. Hill's the guy you'll recall. Remember that 3rd and 44 play in the Notre Dame-Miami game when he was at the other end of it for a first down?
Oh, didn't he? He really ticked that off right. 44 yards it was. He needed, he got 44 yards.
You know, a couple big things on that drive. First of all, it ended up being like a 20-play touchdown drive that took off 10 minutes on the clock. But really, I think the biggest part of that drive was Bobby Garcia, the center, getting all the way back there to recover the fumble on the play before the 44-yard completion. If he doesn't cover that ball, that's an easy Notre Dame score. I like to credit those offensive linemen when they get it coming.
3rd and 11, 2 seconds on the play clock, and now Erickson's got to take a timeout. There was some definite confusion. Conley didn't know where to line up. Play clock got down to 2, and Miami has to burn a timeout.
I think Erickson had made a change, and Conley blew the change, and Erickson got him back to where he should have been, over to a slight wing position on the left side. And by the time he got it all sorted out and handled the traffic, he knew he was going to run out of time.
Talk about the polls here for a second. Clearly, as everybody knows, going into tonight's action, if Colorado wins, they'd be number 1, the only unbeaten team. Miami is second. Michigan's chance is gone because they lost to the Rose Bowl. And then, of course, there's Notre Dame leading Colorado right now. Florida State, despite 2 losses in the AP and UPI polls, Florida State 9-2. You know what the Alabama band right now, if I'm not mistaken, that is the Florida State chant, which is a little bit of psychology going on, since Florida State is the only team to have defeated Miami. So they're attempting to remind the Hurricanes what happened when they met the Seminoles.
Yeah, and you're right, that's exactly what they're doing. But again, I think we have to put an asterisk behind that win because of the fact that guy, Craig Erickson, did not play. Gino Torretta had to be the quarterback pressed into duty when Erickson missed 3 games, and you have to wonder if the results would have been the same. But hey guys, we saw Bobby Bowden's club here in the Sugar Bowl last year, and they are certainly one of the most talented teams in the NCAA football ranks. They were tremendous today, a huge win.
I'm going to tell you, they might be playing the best of any college football team at the moment, but again, with the 2 losses, I don't think they're going to factor in.
There's Gino Torretta there, number 13.
Didn't do badly either when he filled in for those 2.5 games.
Hey, he gets a little airtime without putting on the helmet. That's not bad.
3rd and 11. The crowd trying to disrupt Erickson's signals. And going deep and much too deep. Intended for Lamar Thomas, and he's covered by Ephraim Thomas.
And that's a touchdown if Erickson can put the right touch on the ball. And when we talked to Dennis Erickson, he said, hey, that's still one of the problems with that knuckle. It's on his throwing hand, and sometimes the ball just gets away from him. And I think this is a good look at it right here. I think Erickson was zeroed right in on it. He had the guy he wanted, but the ball sails on him.
Doesn't really have the spiral that he had before. We talked about the spiral that he had before. He had the guy he wanted, but the ball sails on him. He had the guy he wanted, but the ball sails on him. Doesn't really have the spiral that he had before. We talked about the spiral that he had before. He had the guy he wanted, but the ball sails on him. have stopped it a couple times earlier this evening, and we have witnessed what we were told by Dennis Erickson, the coach, that it does not spiral like it used to. Just doesn't have it back yet.
Tim Kalau, a high floating kick, is fair caught at the 19-yard line by Gene Jokes, 28-yard boot. Alabama takes over at the 19 with 12:07 remaining in the third quarter.
In case you were wondering whether or not this Miami football team knows what's going on down in Miami at the Orange Bowl, they do not. Dennis Erickson told this team, I don't want you to know the score of the ball game while you're playing. The best thing we can do as a football team is to come in here, play our best ball game, and if we win it, then we can talk about being a national championship. Al?
Why don't you tell them, Lynn?
Yeah, write it on a piece of paper and hand it to one of them. Be a little mischievous here, Lynn.
From the 20-yard line, Alabama with Hollingsworth throwing under pressure. And it'll be second down and 10. Craig Sanderson, the intended receiver. Willis Pegues was the man chasing Hollingsworth. Well, that's Erickson's philosophy, but I wonder if he can really manifest it. I mean, you got 100 guys down on the sideline, and you can't tell me that there's nobody down there who doesn't know what the score is in Miami.
Well, they're also might have portable radios.
Well, they're also putting it up on a scoreboard over here that's about 10 feet high and about 70 feet long.
Don't look, guys.
Outside of that, no problem. Second down and 10 from the 20-yard line. Murray Hill takes it out to the 27-yard line. It'll be third down and about 2 coming up.
Hollingsworth continues to do great things with the little experience he's had. The blitz is on. He picks the first back up out of the backfield. The man he has to go to, he doesn't have the time to go deep to his intended receiver. I mean, you see top professional quarterbacks doing the same type of thing.
Well, Alabama needs a first down. They need to recapture some of that intensity that they had going for them in the first half.
Third and a long 2 from the 27. Underneath handoff, and Kevin Turner can't escape the grasp of Cortez Kennedy and Jimmy Jones, and Alabama is forced to punt again.
Well, there's such a thing as a delayed handoff. Then there's a delayed handoff, and then there's that handoff.
And then there's an attempt at trickery that did not work.
No. I mean, to a team that has the reaction abilities, I mean, that's just too slow. I mean, that gives everyone a chance to get back in on it, and Turner really didn't have a shot at picking up the first down.
Bill Smith to kick. Good old PW, Pee Wee Smith.
PW, my man.
Oh, yeah. PW, my man's going to run it back to the 35, but not very far. And there he is again. We talked about him before.
Armstead.
And with 10:37 to go in the third period, Miami on top by 3. Here it's Miami leading by 3 in Miami. Colorado scored a touchdown but missed the conversion, and Notre Dame leads 14-6 at the end of the third quarter at the Orange Bowl. Here now Miami from the 33-yard line. Conley with a huge hole, and out to the 42-yard line, a little bit short of the first down. Keith McCants comes in to make the tackle.
I'm surprised Jesse Armstead didn't make the tackle.
You never know.
Or at least Stacey Harrison.
Let's spotlight Keith McCants here. Great linebacker for Alabama, and he's just locked up. Initially, he's eyeballing Wesley Carroll as he comes out into the backfield, and he determines it's a run, comes up, supports, makes the tackle.
Second and short. McGuire picks up the first down as he takes it out to the 44-yard line.
We talked so much about the Miami defense all night, number 1 in the nation. They're not bad on offense. 454 yards per game average, 144 yards rushing the ball. Once they take control of the game, they do take control of it. They're strong physically, and they tend to dominate. They're a little bit of a bully type of a team. I don't mean that disrespectfully, but once they start beating up on you, they thoroughly do it.
77,452 the attendance tonight at the Superdome from the 44-yard line. Erickson incomplete. Talking to the intended receiver. Second down and 10.
Good coverage downfield by Lee Osment.
And good pressure on the quarterback by Keith McCants. Keith McCants, who was slowed a little bit. He got a thigh bruise in the first half. You can see he's taken that wrapping off his right thigh that he had on there. Boy, look at that burst. Look at that acceleration. I think Mr. Erickson knew that he was coming. That is a tremendous explosion by Keith McCants.
If you're a quarterback, you line up behind the center and you look over and see him usually on the inside. He's enormous.
18 tackles against Auburn, as you saw.
Tonight he has 3 tackles. Johnson stopped at just about the line of scrimmage, and it'll be 3rd down and 10. 9:30 to play, 3rd quarter.
Both teams, at least offensively, not looking to be nearly as sharp as they were executing in the first half. Both defensive teams seem to still be playing with some intensity, but offensively they're just a little something lacking.
Triple wide receivers to the right. They like to go there. They did in the first half.
3rd and 11. McCants was on a blitz that time, and the pass is caught by Dawkins at the 33, a 1st down Miami.
And we talked about it in the first half. When you put those trips over to the right, you're going to get man-for-man coverage, and that time they got their coverage. Dawkins working one-on-one on Ephraim Thomas. They pick up the blitz and single coverage.
And we talked about the trips and how they're afraid of the inside guy, and that's exactly what they got that time. Forcing the man coverage, it's Dawkins working underneath, and Ephraim Thomas locked up in that man coverage is trailing Dawkins and has to fall behind and end up making a saving tackle. That would have been a touchdown if he doesn't bring Dawkins down.
That's Dawkins' first catch of the night. The play clock down to 3. There was confusion that time, but Conley is able to move off the left side and inside the 25, and he's close to a 1st down. John Mendo makes the tackle.
They got down to 3 seconds on the play clock because Erickson was trying to change the play, and he obviously had the right change. They pick up good yardage, but he almost had to delay the game. 2 good quarterbacks tonight. We were going on and on about Hollingsworth, but Craig Erickson having a good night.
Well, Erickson's had a great year. I mean, the Hollingsworth is kind of a story because nobody's heard of this guy. Craig Erickson is leading one of the great offensive teams in the country and has all year.
2nd and 1, and Conley has a 1st down as he gets to the 18-yard line with 7 minutes and 56 seconds remaining. Thursday, Tom Bosley is back in an all-new Father Dowling mystery, and he'll show you that sometimes the good guys do wear black. Tracy Nelson co-stars in the premiere of the Father Dowling Mysteries, Thursday, 8 Eastern, 7 Central on ABC. 1st and 10 from the 18-yard line. Erickson throwing it away. Everybody was covered off to the right. He had 3 receivers set in that direction and looked back towards Bethel, and he was covered as well on the left, and throws it out of bounds. 2nd and 10.
He wanted to go to Bethel, and Spencer Hammond was all over him.
Well, that's also, I think, an indication as to how well-schooled Craig Erickson is in the Miami offensive scheme. I mean, he had a read, he saw it was taken away, and rather than trying to improvise, trying to make something big happen in a good part of the field, hey, launch it. It's 2nd down.
2nd and 10. Here's Conley. He takes it to the 11. With a shifty movement.
Nice run.
Very slick. Well, Miami, we mentioned at the top, they've won 83% of their games in the decade of the 80s, and there they are against #1 teams. It's been noted many times in recent weeks. They have 7 times during the 80s faced a team ranked #1 and won every confrontation.
2 national championships, 3 #2 ratings, going for another 1 tonight. They came in #2 tonight. 10 of Miami's 17 #1 draft picks have come in the last 7 years.
It's Bobby Garcia, the center, and a key man in the Miami attack.
Well, this is an offensive line that's already been shuffled around. They lost their left guard, Rod Holder, when he was sent home for violating a team rule, and now Garcia comes off the field. Mike Sullivan, the left tackle, is nursing a bad leg, so this is not one of the strong suits on the Miami squad right now. Is this banged up offensive line. There's Garcia. You see him kind of trailing the play, and it looks like it gets rolled up on his ankle. You can see him trying to grab it right there as he goes down.
And of course, Garcia was going against one of the best defensive players on that front line for Alabama, Willie Wyatt, number 98.
They moved Darren Handy from guard over to center. And Erickson throws, touchdown, the tight end, Chudzinski.
Very simple pattern. Play action to the left side. Chudzinski is lined up on the right, and he just runs a post pattern, just runs a diagonal route right down the middle of the field. And George Teague is just a little late getting there.
Carlos Huerta for the conversion. And an errant snap again. Palau gets wrestled down, and so that's the second time now that Miami has missed a conversion, and that's the same response we saw from Erickson the first time. Bad snap from the center, Mike Azer.
Take a look at it again. You saw earlier he had snapped a little low, Azer. This time it was high.
Yeah, you saw Garcia go out of the game. Don't get confused and think that's why they had a bad snap. Garcia is not the snapper for field goals and extra points anyway. Let's go back and take a look at the touchdown, though, to Rob Chudzinski. Excellent protection. He's really wide open on the play.
Teague not even the ballpark, the young freshman out of Montgomery.
Good offensive team.
Keith McCann has been an active man tonight, yet he's been in on only 3 tackles for the Crimson Tide.
I think part of that is by design, the Miami offense finding where he is and working away from him. They've been doing that all year.
Miami up by 9. Huerta's kick. One hopper, fielded by Gene Jelks. And he brings it back to the 27-yard line. And he's a little slow in getting up, but he arises, and Hollingsworth, who took over the second week of the season in the middle of the game against Kentucky, when Dunn went down, the starting quarterback, and it's just been a storybook season, as we refer to from time to time tonight for Hollingsworth.
That Alabama record for attempts, completions, passed over 2,300 yards.
From the 28-yard line. And intended for Saran Stacy, who can't make the grab.
You know, a real burden falls now on the Alabama offensive line. We've talked all night about the talents of the front four for Miami, and now trailing 26-17, operating solely out of the shotgun formation. If the game is going to be won by the Crimson Tide, it's going to be won by those guys and their abilities to keep Miami away from Hollingsworth.
Key drive right here.
Second and 10. And Hollingsworth taken down. A nice one-on-one tackle made by Maurice Crum after he picked up about 3.
Last few times that Miami's offensive unit has been on the field, they've been able to move the football. Move it well, and now trailing 26-17. It would behoove Alabama to start making first downs.
3rd and 7 from the 31-yard line. Hollingsworth throwing and dropped by Lamond Russell. He was there and he was open, and he would have had the first down, but couldn't hang on. And once more, Alabama forced to kick.
Like somebody shot that ball on the way out of there, end over end almost.
6:10 to play in the 3rd quarter. Miami on top, 26-17. Huey Smith back at the 30.
PW. I think we ought to refer him as PW.
PW. Bill Smith gets the kick away, and PW at the 38. Feels like a POW as he gets wrapped up by 4 Alabama Crimson Tide, including number 1, Stacey Harrison, in again on the tackle.
In again.
5:59 to go in the 3rd.
Not to be confused with Jesse Armstead.
Not at all.
Stacey's having a night.
Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, and Dan Dierdorf at the Superdome in New Orleans. Alabama Crimson Tide trailing Miami by 9. Hurricane ball from the 40, first down. There's Conley. Out for a gain of about 5 to the 45-yard line. All right, here's tonight's quiz. What is Pee Wee Smith's real first name?
That's unfair. We know. Demetrius.
Demetrius. I like Pee Wee better, don't you?
I like P.W.
Pee Wee Herman's real name?
Paul Rubin. How'd you know that?
Pee Wee Reese's real name?
Harold.
No,
Pee Wee Randall's first
I'm
name.
not making it up. That's his real name.
2nd and 6. And it's a first down if they get forward progress, and they will. Lamar Thomas making the catch, and he is into Alabama territory. This is a vital drive for Alabama to stop right now with Miami up by 9.
Thomas has to come out as he holds his right arm to his body. You don't know if that's a nerve problem or a shoulder or what. Looks like they're looking at his elbow.
First down, Hurricanes at the 49.
Oh.
Yeah, and this will be against the Canes. The left side of their offensive line jumps up and out of their stance.
Meanwhile, you can see Garcia's back in the game, the center. He was shaken up on the last series.
False start on the part of the offense. Still first down.
You have Erickson still in the middle of all of his audibles. Look at him still barking to both sides. Watch the left side of the line. I think it's Leon Searcy, the left tackle, comes up out of there in a hurry, and Handy, the guard, does as well.
Erickson is still trying to change the play.
Oh, that's the problem with the crowd noise here. It's definitely working against Miami.
1st and 15. Here's Conley again, accelerating. Fumble. And it's still loose, and Alabama has it.
Oh, they needed that. Gardner covering for Alabama. Charles Gardner.
Well, the old counter play, and this time Conley outruns his blockers and takes a violent shot on the sidelines and coughs it up.
You have to admire the toughness of the young man. You wonder about the advisability now. Instead of taking it out of bounds there, steps right back into a
That's Osmond with that hit.
tackle by that linebacker, halfback type. They call him Bandit or something like that, but he really Rover. They really put a pop on him.
First down, Crimson Tide from the 37. Now Alabama's been able to do nothing offensively in the second half. And here is Stacy taking it out to the 41-yard line. Saran Stacy picking up about 4 with 4:30 to play in the third quarter.
And would you guys agree with me that as we've watched this third quarter unfold, if Alabama doesn't do something with this turnover on this drive, they're in real trouble.
Yeah, you know, Bill Curry knows that too, Dan. He's played in a lot of games. The emotion, the feel, the momentum begins to swing, and he knows that. He knows he needs a big drive right here.
2nd and 6 from the 41-yard line. Turner. Nope.
I would not run the ball from the conventional offensive formation again for the balance of the evening if I am Bill Curry and the Crimson Tide. I mean, here they are in a conventional 2-back set trying to run the ball against Miami. They are just not going to do it. They're averaging less than 2 yards a carry tonight. We had a graphic up a while ago that showed you 1.5 yards, I believe. Yeah, 1.6 yards per attempt. They're just not going to do it. Now I think wisely they're back in the shotgun.
Third down, 6 from the 41. There's a flag. Miami jumped. And it's tipped and it's picked off, but again, Miami had jumped. This is Kenny Berry on a play that will be called back.
Hollingsworth had the free play, went ahead and tried to squeeze one in.
Shane Curry was the man who jumped.
You have to assume that Hollingsworth probably would not have thrown that ball. He knew he could see this. He knew that he had the free play. Top of your screen, there is the quick movement. And now Hollingsworth knows he has an opportunity to unload the football. This ball was deflected and picked off. Kenny Berry bringing it back, but the offsides will negate that.
It still does not give them enough for a first down. It is 3rd and 1 from the 46-yard line. And somehow finding room and slipping through is Derek Owens-Lassick. who takes it out to the 49-yard line and gives Alabama a first down.
Boy, you talk about a guy who didn't have a whole lot of help. I mean, that is nothing more than Owens Lassick picking that up strictly by being a little bit crafty and finding a little nook and finding a little room and getting in there. His lead blocker took one hole. He had to take another, and he did it all by himself.
Up they come in the gun from the 49-yard line, 1st and 10. Hollingsworth going deep and too deep, and it's picked off at the 15-yard line by Charles Farms.
Oh, that was a bad pass. Probably the first major bad thing that Gary Hollingsworth has done all night. Hung that one up for grabs, no chance to get the completion. If he's going to put it down there, should have thrown it out of range of any Miami defender. Just a bad pass, and they'll turn it over.
But actually, if you have to turn it over, that's the way to do it. I mean, clear down at the 11-yard line.
Yeah, but don't do it on first down.
No. That's Prince Wimbley, the intended receiver. And what he does here, though, even though it's overthrown, he makes a tackle that saves Alabama a whole lot of yardage.
In essence, a decent punt.
Really? Anything down inside the 15-yard line, that's down at the 11.
And on first down, Conley just short of the 15-yard line. Thomas Raham making the tackle. 2 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Now here's where 3 downs and a punt is really critical for Alabama. Again, though, all the pressure in this game from the very beginning has been applied by Miami. You always get the impression that Alabama is playing a whale of a game just to stay this close.
2nd and 8. McGuire to the 15. It'll be 3rd down and 7. At the Orange Bowl, Notre Dame still leading Colorado. Colorado missing a conversion. 14-6 is the score.
Buffalo's hanging in there.
Again, clearly, Colorado would be number 1 if they win that game, but if they don't, well, it's up in the air, and not only is it up in the air, you could have different results in different polls. 3rd down and 7 from the 15-yard line. Erickson throws, and that's a key first down, caught by Randall Hill on a 3rd and 7 play out to the 23-yard line. And Dan had just stressed the importance of Alabama holding them and forcing them to kick, and on a key 3rd and 7, Randall Hill makes the reception.
Uses that great speed. It looks like he's going to go in a fly pattern, and you have to respect that, the defensive back. And he just stopped after he picked up the first down yardage, and Erickson fired it in.
From the 24-yard line. There's McGuire. Somehow finding room down the sideline he goes.
Really get the impression about now that the Alabama defense looks like some of the aggressive play that they were exhibiting in the first half, the slicing, the knifing upfield. Now they're giving a little bit more. They're not getting off the blocks quite as quickly, and the hitting doesn't seem to be quite as hard. It's almost like the physical prowess of Miami is starting to take its toll.
Dan, you saw it right there. McGuire with the size and strength hitting the stack and just bowling ahead.
More than double in favor of Miami total yardage.
2nd and 1. And McGuire appears to have gotten that one as he takes it out to the 35-yard line with 49 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. You know, the funny thing about Miami, if indeed they do win the national championship, not only would it be their 3rd of the decade, but Howard Schnellenberger would have won one, Jimmy Johnson, and Dennis Erickson.
I guess that makes a statement as to what type of program is in existence. And of course, if you're Dennis Erickson, where you come from the Palouse up at Washington State, but look at the players you inherit. I mean, what a dream come true.
35-yard line, first down. Craig Erickson, no relation to his coach, even though he still loves him as much as his son, I'm sure. Randall Hill makes the catch, and there's a little scuffle that breaks out.
Yeah, Mangum is getting in there. I don't know what his problem was as far as Randall Hill is concerned. Hill had really not much of a position to defend himself.
Hill with all the speed we talked of a moment ago. He's 4'3", and Mangum, that's just a good tackle. He respected the deep possibility.
Well,
Mangum came back up, and they're going to mark it off.
Well, Hill went ahead and inserted his foot in not the most convenient of places on Mangum, and that's the problem Mangum was having. Watch John Mangum and Randall Hill exchange body parts.
Let's take a look at that non-convenient locale as we get set to return to the Sugar Bowl after this message and a word from our ABC station.
It's a tough game.
Fourth quarter begins at the Superdome in New Orleans. Miami has the football at its own 38-yard line, 2nd and 7. And Miami leads 26-17. Hurricanes second ranked. Alabama 7th. And on 2nd and 7, Conley takes it out to the 41-yard line. It'll be 3rd and about 4 coming up. Let's take a look at the numbers through 45 minutes of play.
And the longer this game goes on, needless to say, the more lopsided the numbers become in favor of the Miami Hurricanes. More than a 2-to-1 advantage in total yards. And that is even with 2 more turnovers than the Crimson Tide.
Crowd exhorting the Alabama defense on 3rd down and 4, and Erickson throws, and that's Hill again. And Hill has a 1st down and a lot more. Escaping tackles down the sideline. He goes, picking up blocks, and Hill takes it all the way down to the 11-yard line, loses the football, but they're going to whistle it dead.
And the official's right there, no hesitation at all in ruling it down.
We talked about Randall Hill's speed of 4.3. And Hill is slow getting up, but he really turned it on down the sideline.
Remember one time before, Miami lost the ball and the officials ruled that he was down, even though that our replay showed that it was a fumble. How about this time? Let's take a close look at this one. Randall Hill. It looked like that ball was on its way out before his knee touched the ground. It was very close. Let's look at it again from a different angle. Watch the ball. There comes the big right hand. Oh, and that's a fumble all the way, and the crowd just heard it.
Sure.
And the crowd saw it right along with you.
That was McCants, and that was a pro move. How many times have we watched the linebackers in professional football do that, particularly Lawrence Taylor, who I think, I won't credit him with inventing it, but I mean, we've seen him do it many times over.
There it is again, and that's the 2nd time tonight that a Hurricane fumble was actually ruled as being down, so that's twice Alabama tonight has been victimized by the officials' calls.
This is McCants running down a 4.3 sprinter and then giving you a move that I know would have a lot of professional scouts just drooling.
He's a huge man, but he's gazelle quick, and he proved it on that play. 13-yard line, 1st and 10. Conley. And he's wrapped up as John Mangum comes up to make the tackle for negative yardage. Conley out, and McGuire comes in as the sole running back, and this set 13:35 to play. Second and 12 at the 15.
Trips left.
And McGuire takes it to the 11-yard line. Sullins makes the tackle. Notre Dame has scored again, and the Fighting Irish lead Colorado 21-6 with a minute and a half, Kenny? Minute and a half remaining in the game.
And Miami's argument is going to be quite simple. If we both end up the season with only 1 loss, I beat you,
and I beat you pretty bad.
And that means I'm number 1. And it's difficult to argue with.
3rd and 9. And it's caught for a touchdown, Randy Bethel.
The man Dennis Erickson said is the best athlete I've ever had at the tight end position.
Missed 3 games this season with a broken fibula, but has come back strong in good hands. But I'll tell you, Craig Erickson did everything but catch that for him. Put it right on his fingers.
So many weapons on this Miami team. They're like an octopus. You cut off one of the arms, two of the arms, they still come at you from a lot of different directions. A multi-talented offensive team.
So Erickson looked left, and when Bethel broke to the outside, he was right there with it.
Huerta for the extra point. And so that was a drive Alabama had to stop, and they couldn't. Miami converting two key third down passes, in both instances to Hill, then the touchdown pass to Bethel, and the Hurricanes have a commanding 16-point advantage.
And they are laying claim to number one, convincingly.
But what does Lou Holtz have to say about that?
Not all rebounds.
The Miami Hurricanes on top 33-17. And Lynn Swann reporting before that Coach Erickson was trying to keep it from the Hurricanes as to what was taking place in the Orange Bowl. I guarantee you they know what's happening in Miami right now. They lead by 16 here. Notre Dame leads Colorado by 15 at the Orange Bowl as Alabama runs it back. Jelks takes it out to the 22-yard line. Past 4 years, take a look at that. Miami in 86, 11-1. They wound up second. In 87, a national title. Last year, second. And then Jimmy Johnson goes to Dallas. Erickson comes in. And here they are tonight. 10-1 coming in. Going on 11-1. And second to a number one team that's down right now with a minute and a half to play in Miami.
And this is no university with 50,000 students. They have something like 8,200 undergrads. A relatively small school.
Alabama from the 22-yard line. Here's Hollingsworth, and he gets taken down by Cortez Kennedy, and they can smell it right now. You know, it's worth pointing out, Dan, too, when you take a look at the Hurricanes. This was a program very much in shambles and in disarray in the 70s. They won only 38% of their games. They didn't know what was going on. Florida State and Florida out-recruiting them to the extent that Miami, at one point, there was even some talk about disbanding the football program.
A lot of credit has to go to Howard Schnellenberger.
And a Jim Kelly.
Second and 13.
He really was a forerunner of a long selection of great quarterbacks under Schnellenberger.
And I'll tell you who else, Sam Jankovic, their athletic director. He's the guy that really came in here and spearheaded a lot of the things that happened to the University of Miami, making the decisions, who to hire.
One of them, of course, Dennis Erickson, and he goes all the way back to their Montana days, Billings, Montana, where Jankovic was the high school coach there at one time.
And that is now a final. Notre Dame has beaten Colorado. Colorado finishing the season with one loss. Notre Dame with one loss. And there is one headache being delivered.
Marco Battle, and he knew he was in a battle with Ryan McNeil.
But Battle gets up and runs right back off the field. Tough people playing this game here tonight. So it looks like, if this game holds true to form, that everybody who's going to lay claim to number one is going to have one loss, and you can see their reaction.
They don't know, Dan.
You can see their reaction. They saw the final on our graphic up on the screen here, and they know that the part they couldn't do was done for them by Notre Dame.
Bill Smith kicking, and our man Pee Wee's going to call for a fair catch at the 33-yard line. And we're going to show you the way they reacted when they saw that score, and there it was when it first came up.
Well, they're still reacting on the sidelines. This is the replay of when that came up on the scoreboard here. It's the team that November the 25th defeated Notre Dame 27-10 convincingly. There might be some argument, but not on the part of anyone who's associated with Miami, who's going to be number one.
Miami Hurricanes on top 33-17. Craig Erickson and the Hurricanes thinking about a national championship right now because Colorado has been defeated. Erickson goes back to pass, and with nobody open, takes it back to the line of scrimmage, which is the 33, 2nd and 10, and here's Lynn Swann.
Well, Al, I'm standing here in the stands. The scoreboard flash that the Notre Dame game is a final, that Notre Dame has won. That's why the Hurricane Band is playing. This small section of people, all fans from Miami, relishing what they think is going to be a national championship victory for their team. And by the way, all the players and looking up at the scoreboard, they too know that the game is over. Notre Dame has won. Colorado's defeated. They're looking for number one. I'm not going to disagree.
Well, as we said, it would be their third national championship of the decade. As Alex Johnson takes it out to the 39-yard line. Dennis Erickson.
Not that it really matters, Al and Dan, but who's going to be number two?
You're right.
Doesn't seem to count much.
You're right, Frank.
No thoughts, huh?
Not that it matters very much.
Will be little noted or long remembered.
This game isn't that much of a blowout that we're going to discuss that. Well, wait a minute. That's a left tackle that moved like that.
Third down and 5 as Johnson gets hit by Mangum up at the 40-yard line, and Miami will be forced to kick. Mangum pays the price here with 9:09 to play.
That Johnson was happy they changed that play.
We've got an injured Hurricane down on the field, right at the 40-yard line. Can't see who that is.
I believe that's Mike Sullivan, the tackle.
He came into tonight limping and not even knowing whether he was going to play, and he has gone the entire game up to this point with a badly sprained ankle that he re-injured during the workouts this past week here in New Orleans. He had,
well, quite frankly,
troubled Frank.
I watched Sullivan down on the field before the game trying to work with the Miami trainers who are now escorting him off the field. And I'm standing there with Al, and I turned to Al and I said, hey, I don't see any way this guy's going to be able to play.
I asked him, and he said he's going to try the first series.
But looking at him, attempting to work out and loosen up, I didn't see how this guy was going to be able to do it. A gritty performance tonight by Mike Sullivan.
Good run blocker. Might be a pretty good pro. Big, 276 pounds, 6'4".
He comes hobbling off, and Tim Kalau for his first kick of the second half. Gene Jelks back to receive for Alabama at the 20-yard line.
Yeah.
Jelks at the 16, and nothing but a white shirt and a flag.
May get a face mask here.
Jesse Armstead made the tackle.
He's everywhere tonight.
Yep. Playing both sides of the ball, it seems.
Oh, this is going to go against Alabama.
Did a fake fair catch?
Did he signal the fair catch? If he signals the fair catch and then attempts to run with the ball, that's a no-no. Oh, you're right. There it is.
Foul on the part of the fair catcher. He started to run with the ball. It's delay of game. It'll be first and 15.
Wasn't a very good signal. I think he thought maybe he'd get away with it.
Well, you're really supposed to get your hand up above your shoulder, but there's no question. I mean, that's a good call. Jelks was signaling the fair catch. He was going to get the defense a little bit off guard, and then I don't know what he was thinking about when he took off with it. I mean, why signal a fair catch and start to run with the ball and get nailed by about 4 guys? It's a little self-destructive.
Hollingsworth from the shotgun. Deep drop, set up the screen. Kevin Turner has some blocking and gets it out to the 20-yard line. It will be 2nd and 7.
You know, we talked about the great linebacking coming from Alabama over the years. Cornelius Bennett, P.J. Jr., Derek Thomas. How about the great linemen that have come from Miami over recent years? Talk about their quarterbacks with Jerome Brown, Dan mentioned earlier with Philadelphia, Jim Burt out of the 49ers, Bill Hawkins, Dan Stubbs. You want to be noticed? You want to play in a pro set defensively and offensively? Miami's not a bad place to be.
2nd and 7. That's Owens Lassick.
This Miami recruiting message was brought to you by Frank Everett.
Well, Miami's going to have
feeling very smug about what happened today.
You're going to get
the Rose Bowl.
You're going to get some season tickets out of this, Frank.
I think it's really helped him recruit. I don't think there's any question about it.
There'll be more competition, though, in the recruitment area for Miami because of what happened yesterday with Steve Spurrier accepting the job
at Florida.
Oh, he came right out and stated we want to get Miami back on the schedule, and he's coming home.
3rd down A long 2 from the 25. It's Owens Lasik, and he fights out to the 28-yard line and has a first down. With 7:22 remaining in the game. Last time these two teams met, it was 1979. Ironically, Alabama was on its way to a national championship, and Miami was just beginning to put its program back in place. They met at Tuscaloosa. Alabama won it by a score of 30-0. 10 years later, the two teams are meeting again, perhaps on the verge of a Miami national championship. From the 28-yard line, Owens Lasik out past the 30, steps out of bounds at the 33. Well, who's going to be number one? That's the question. Seemingly, it will be Miami. It would be shocking if it wasn't, but we're going to conduct the poll here. Roger Twyble will be joining you from our studio in New York shortly, and we'll have a little phone-in vote, we understand. Putting the machinery in place for that as we speak. Second down and 5 from the 33-yard line. Saran Stacy out to the 34, and there's a marker down.
Might get a few Notre Dame alumni involved in that, wouldn't you think?
Dan's dialing right now. He's still voting for Michigan.
You know, I was just thinking about that. Daydreaming here for a second. I applaud Southern Cal.
Won today?
No, not really. I mean, even if Michigan would have won today, I don't know how anyone could have seen this Miami squad play during the course of this season and what they did to Notre Dame and now how they're handling Alabama. I don't know how you could say they're not the number one team in the country.
Face mask on part of the defense. First down.
I don't care if Michigan would have beaten Southern Cal by 3 touchdowns today. Miami is the best team in the country. I don't think that I know that Notre Dame people won't like to hear that, but the fact of the matter is they played and Miami won handily.
Well, Lou, there's a look at the face mask. Lou Holtz's argument is, hey, wait a second, look at our schedule against Miami. Look at what we did over the course of the season.
But how can you? I understand that.
It's the first tiebreaker.
I can understand. You're right. It's the first tiebreaker.
Right. From the 38-yard line, Hollingsworth. And it's Battle who makes the catch, and he's out of bounds at the 47, and that's the first down. Let's take a look at Miami's year here.
And there are a couple teams on their schedule that jump out at you that maybe weren't worthy opponents.
Well, there it is early on. They kill Wisconsin, and California beat Missouri handily, win by 6 against Michigan State. Then that one loss, and remember Craig Erickson was hurt. Victories over East Carolina, San Diego State. So they have detractors say, hey, look at those softies.
Well, San Jose stayed on there as well. And we're not demeaning their programs, but they're not the type of team that
Notre Dame was playing.
Yeah, that you'd think a consistent top 10 team would play during the course of the season.
And then the Hurricanes will, they know what the argument is against them, but they point out, they say, hey, wait a second, guys. We beat Notre Dame, beat Pittsburgh, beat Michigan State. They all went to bowls. And on their way to beating Alabama.
You guys to gather up some thoughts. I want to talk about Bill Curry in a second here and what his future might be.
Second down and 16. Underneath handoff. And Martin Houston is wrapped up at the 50-yard line.
I mean, by any stretch of the imagination, this has been a successful season for the University of Alabama and for Bill Curry, their head coach. And yet, there is no doubt that there is still lingering resentment towards Bill and the fact that he's a Georgia Tech guy and not an Alabama man. And I really wonder what his long-term future is in Tuscaloosa.
Well, he was quite candid. He says it's affected his family, the reaction to what has gone on. Third down and 12. And Hollingsworth has his pass dropped by Saran Stacy.
He's saying that Bear Bryant is no longer there, but the ghost of a Bear Bryant remains there, and we talked to Bill about it, and he, of course, was very candid in what he said, but did not elaborate on what his plans were. But I mentioned to him sort of like the Vince Lombardi syndrome, isn't it?
And I don't want to make more out of it than what it appeared to be when he told us these things. I mean, he wasn't saying, hey, I'm unhappy at Alabama. As a matter of fact, he's very proud of what he's accomplished at Alabama.
Should be.
And so, I mean, don't get the impression that he said, hey, I can't wait to get out of here. That's not the case at all.
He has 2 years remaining on his existing contract. Alabama, to the chagrin of their fans, elects to punt. And it will be down inside the 10-yard line. Make it the 6 is where it is down. And it's a 43-yard boot. Miami takes over with 4:57 to play in the fourth. And let's check in with Roger Twibel in our studios in New York. Roger?
Okay, thank you very much, Alan. If folks want to know who's number one, if they want to contribute, they can call 1-900-339-1ABC. It'll cost you 95 cents. The AP and UPI poll at the conclusion of the regular season, that's the way they stood. The media votes on the AP poll, the coaches on the UPI poll. The last 10 years, there have been consensus national champions. The last split was in 1978. Alabama picked by the AP and the University of Southern California by UPI. We'll give you the results at the end of the Sugar Bowl game. So if you want to vote, call in right now. Al?
First poll we've had without OJ running all over the field.
That's right. From the 8-yard line, Miami will try to take some time off the clock. You know, just to follow up on what we're talking about with Bill Curry, sometimes you wonder, why does anybody want to become a major college coach? It doesn't matter where it is. It's not just Alabama. Almost everywhere there are a bunch of, there are 50-year-old adolescent alumni involved with every program. And no matter what you do, they'll never be happy. They're writing letters to the editor every week, calling the radio shows every week. Every coach has to go through it. It's amazing.
And if you run this guy out of Tuscaloosa, you're dumber than you should be. This is a guy you ought to fight to keep. Throw yourself at this guy's feet. Hell of a coach.
Wouldn't have trouble getting another job.
Well, I was recruited from Miami, and you're doing a little agent work for Bill Curry.
Let's get a word from Lynn Swan. Swanee?
Thank you, Al. I'm with Jerry Page. Graduated from Alabama in '75. I know you're a little disappointed your teams aren't playing as well.
Well, it's kind of quiet on our side of the field, and Miami's a super team, but really Bill Curry's a class act. I'm really proud of him, and they're playing well considering.
Coming up, we've got some big golf tournaments on ABC.
That's right. This Sunday we have the Money Tournament of Champions starting at La Costa, California. It starts this year's golf for ABC.
Okay, seniors and touring pros in that particular tournament?
Oh yeah. We got the best players in the world. Curtis Strange, 2-time Open champion. Tom Kite, all-time lead money winner. Payne Stewart.
Okay. I hope you have a lot more fun there than as an alumnus of Alabama you're having here.
Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate
Thank you.
Okay.
Al?
All right, Lynn, 2nd down and 8 for Miami. Alabama has just spent a timeout as they try to conserve the clock here. 4:52, 33-17 is the score. Hurricanes on top. Well, we talked about Curry, and then there's Dennis Erickson, the mild-mannered Dennis Erickson from the state of Washington. He coached at Idaho, and then he went to Wyoming for a year, and then to Washington State. And all of a sudden, he made about as long a move as you can make in the lower 48, from the Palouse country of eastern Washington all the way down to South Florida.
Got a couple of assistants with him. Bratkowski, Zeke Bratkowski's son, the offensive coordinator.
Here's Conley. In fact, there was only one retainee, Art Kehoe, from the old staff who remained. And you recall Gary Stevens was being considered along with Erickson. There's a flag down on the last play, and it was either Stevens getting the job or going on. And in fact, he decided to join Don Shula with the Dolphins when David went to Dallas with Jimmy Johnson.
And there's Art standing right there, the lone coach with the green jacket. He's their offensive line coach. And I mean, really, what a dream come true for any coach to inherit this program. I mean, to walk in here, normally a coach comes in and he has to start building his program. He has to start looking for players. I mean, Dennis Erickson and this coaching staff, they must have all locked themselves behind closed doors and said, can you believe these guys? I mean, the first time they worked them out, the first time they went on the field, they must not have believed it.
Well, but they were smart enough to keep enough of the program in place, too. You know, there are coaches that can come in and with large egos and say, hey, wait a second, I've got to put my own imprimatur on this program and do it my way and let people know it's my program.
That's Bob Bratkowski on your left there, the son of Zeke Bratkowski, who was with Bill Curry when they were both at Green Bay.
2nd down and 12 from the 6-yard line, and Erickson nearly gets caught in the end zone. Comes back out to the one. Keith McCants was there to drop him at the 1-yard line.
Well, wait till you see this effort by McCants. Kenny, if you got it, bring it up. I mean, he hurdles a blocker. Just watch this. You ask, see if this guy's an athlete.
A 3-year football player in high school and a 3-year basketball all-star who could stuff a basketball when he was a sophomore in high school, and he's showing you right there great athleticism.
That guy is not 6'1", 205. He's 6'5", 260.
Alabama takes a timeout. We're back. The Sugar Bowl. 3rd down and 17 for the Miami Hurricanes from their own 1-yard line. Alabama has 1 timeout remaining, and let's see if they elect to take it here, because Miami's going to have to punt. 4:02 remaining on the clock, and the Tide will take a timeout. So they spend their final one here. They are 2 touchdowns and 2 two-point conversions behind, trailing by 16. All right, let's get another word from what is this, a post parade here? Here's Roger Twyfell in New York.
Well, thank you very much, Al. Who's number one? Looks like the Chicago and Indiana area voting heavily in the early going. Notre Dame with 51% right now in the poll, and you can see on down the list that Miami and Florida State and Colorado. If you want to vote, you call that number you see on the screen right there, and it'll cost you 95 cents, 1-900-339-1ABC, and we'll give you the final tabulations at the end of the Sugar Bowl. Right now, Notre Dame leading. Let's go back to Al Michaels.
Very strong and affluent group of Notre Dame alumni, obviously.
Kalal to punt. Whoa! 34-yard line. Hello. You talk about a lick and a half, as the saying goes.
And look at this. I mean, we are talking about bouncing right back up. Gene Jelks suffers a major collision at the hands of Darren Smith.
Where was the fair catch when he needed it? Oh, what a shot.
This is not a game for the meek and mild-mannered. And look at Bill Curry.
He gave it a shot. He could have taken it all the way in.
How about if we do a phone poll on whether or not you'd like to return punts? Here's Gene Jelks. Look at number 45, Darren Smith. That's as violent a collision as you'll see on a football field, and both guys got up.
Alabama from the 33-yard line, and Hollingsworth gets sacked. You know, we talked about Miami tonight, extolling their virtues, talking about so many of the things they've done, especially defensively. All season long, on punt returns, the opposition has returned punts for a total of 2 yards against Miami all season.
You're not talking about a 2-yard average.
No, 2 yards cumulative. Hollingsworth.
You know what I find ironic about the whole Miami-Notre Dame connection here is you'd be hard-pressed to find 2 schools that dislike each other, where the rivalry is more intense than that between Notre Dame and the University of Miami, and yet Miami is, they were put in the situation of needing help from Notre Dame to win a national championship, and not that they have won it, but I certainly think that they have to be viewed as the front runner, and yet they needed Notre Dame to do it for them. And of course, every Notre Dame alumnus in the country is saying, hey, cool your jets here, Dan. Miami hasn't won the national championship yet. I just don't know how you can't give it to them.
Either that or they're busy dialing.
I mean, I've expressed my vote. How would you guys vote?
I would vote for Miami.
And I would vote for Miami.
Miami first, Notre Dame second, Florida State third.
That's right. All for one, one for all.
4th and 5 from the 28. It alive and taken inside the 10-yard line. Marco Battle keeping Alabama alive. Crimson Tide out of timeouts, but they have a 1st and goal at the 9.
And Al, how about this offensive team next year only losing 1 guy, really? Only 1 starter. The guy who just caught that ball, Marco Battle.
That's right.
And Gary Hollingsworth back. It's his first year really as a varsity competitor as a quarterback, and he's done some amazing things tonight.
1st and goal from the 9-yard line. Hollingsworth lofting it into the end zone, and no good. Battle and McNeil were there. And it's incomplete. It'll be 2nd down and goal. The clock down to 2:57 to play. The big question, you mentioned 10 out of the 11 come back on offense, but the big question for Alabama is going to be McCants, the linebacker. Will he come back or not?
We asked Bill Curry that question yesterday, and he knows. Well, you hear the crowd responding again. They're thinking that was a tied touchdown.
Blitz on 2nd and goal, and this time it is caught for a touchdown by Prince Wimbley. Great catch.
And Prince, remember earlier in the game, yanked for a celebration. You can celebrate after that one, guy. Great grab.
Two perfectly thrown balls by Hollingsworth. The one on the other side a moment ago, absolutely perfect, and perhaps could have been called a touchdown. And this one thrown to Wimbley in dead stride.
Beautiful.
Little fade away. Nothing Barry could do about it.
Well, what you're looking at right here is if you make a 2-point conversion, you're down by 8. And this one is not over.
And if you're a tied backer, you think back to two situations during this game where it appeared that Miami had fumbled the ball, but on both occasions it was ruled down by the officials, and Miami retained possession.
Vital 2-point conversion here. Hollingsworth throws into the end zone, and it's caught by Lamont Russell. So they're down by 8. But the problem for them is they don't have a timeout remaining.
And a lot of their fans have gone home.
And a lot of people that follow the Golden Dome in South Bend are going, go Tide, go Tide, roll Tide.
We'll be back for the onside kick.
This is Roger Twybill in New York. Over 50,000 callers so far, and Notre Dame with 56% of the vote. So somebody's doing real good tonight. It looks like the Irish and the phone company at 95 cents a call. Let's go back to Al Michaels in New Orleans.
All right, Roger, and here at the Sugar Bowl, it's an 8-point Miami lead, and as you can see, the Hurricanes manning the 45-yard line as Alabama figures to attempt an onside kick. Again, the Crimson Tide are without a timeout. They had to take all of them on defense the last time Miami had the ball. Alan Ward to kick it.
He's looking for one roll and then the big high bounce. There's the bounce.
10 yards. It's loose. A great onside effort, but Miami comes up with it. Alex Johnson at his 49. And so what it amounts to right now is Miami needs one first down, and it's all over.
They practice that over and over and over. You wanted to take the 1 or 2 short hops, and then the ball on artificial turf. It's tough to do on a grass field. On artificial turf, takes that big high hop, and that's exactly what they got that time. But
that was perfect.
Excellent work by Miami in covering up the ball. Look at that baby go.
Sure-handed receivers over in that side of the part of Miami. You saw Wesley Carroll, a wide receiver. He wouldn't ordinarily be there. Alex Johnson. All the sure-handed types. And they covered it well.
At the 49-yard line, if you run the ball, you just have to stay in bounds if you're a Hurricane. And Conley thinking that, and Conley takes it to the 47-yard line. And again, Alabama cannot stop the clock. And in college football, when the ball is signaled ready for play, you've got 25 seconds to get it off. It's not yet signaled ready for play. And now it is.
You know, I was just thinking back, that 2-point conversion of Alabama's had a lot of people around the country interested. 33 to 25, 8-point differential.
That's right. 9-point
line at the beginning.
Right. At the beginning of the game. I think it opened at 10 and it was 8.5 at one point. And here's McGuire, and there's a huge first down because that should just about do it as he takes it to the 26-yard line.
Big night for McGuire, and you saw him cover up that football when he burst into the clear, knowing full well that Alabama would be trying to strip it. The young freshman from Brooklyn. What a show tonight.
21-yard gain. Again, we're going to run all the scores for you. One after the other. Tennessee a winner at Dallas today. Florida State, very impressive victory.
That's some sore eyeballs out there.
Trojans ruin Bo's finale. You all know about the Orange Bowl. Notre Dame by 15 over Colorado. And this one winds down with 1:40.
I guess it's only fitting that we're on the air last. We do the final game of the pros every weekend on Monday night, and this is really the end of our football season here at ABC. The Sugar Bowl is our last game as a Monday night team, and gentlemen, it's been another fun year. And to the guys in the truck and the cameras, you are the greatest. I'm proud to be a part of it.
21 games started when? Back to the 1st of August?
Hall of Fame game, August 5th, I guess it was this year.
And it has been fun. Some great games we've had over the year.
Hurricanes of Miami looking at themselves up on the board here at the Superdome. So it winds down. Will go off the air, but still to be determined officially who is number one. And as far as the phone poll is concerned, here's Roger Twyble with that update.
Okay, thank you very much, Al. And number one is still Notre Dame, as they're coming in with 55% of the vote, over 50,000 callers so far. The AP poll will be announced early tomorrow. 60 voters there, 50 voters in the UPI. That also will come out, so we'll know by our early evening news tomorrow night. But right now in our poll, Notre Dame with 55%, Miami with 26%. Let's go back to Al.
And the Miami assistant coaches celebrating the final play of the game has just been run. Dennis Erickson.
Congratulations.
Yep, first-year coach and probably the coach of a national championship team.
Tough act to follow, Jimmy Johnson, and he has done it with style. Fine, candid young coach. Successful at Washington State.
Let's just talk for 1 second about tonight's game. An excellent football game. Two class programs. A lot of hard-hitting, aggressive football tonight. I thought this was a superbly played game.
20-17 was the score at the half. Alabama just kept fighting back and fighting back.
They put on a whale of a fight all night long, stayed in the football game, and had a chance to tie this game up right at the very end.
But Miami just too much for them. Lynn Swann is getting in position to get a word with Dennis Erickson, and as soon as he's ready, we'll go down there, and we are ready, Swann.
Okay, Coach, a great win. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was an outstanding win. I'll tell you, Alabama really played well. They're a darn good football team, and they did a great job of coaching, and we were very, very, very fortunate to win the football game, but we did, and puts us in pretty good shape right now.
You got an 8-point victory. Why do you think you couldn't just pull away from this football team?
Alabama's a good football team. They've always been. They only lost one game, and that was to Auburn and down there. So, I mean, we knew going in the game it was going to be a heck of a fight, and I got to give them a great deal of credit.
Obviously, the only remaining question now will be left up to the voting. Is this Miami football team number one in your mind?
Yeah, we're number one.
Just that simple, no doubt about it.
Well, we'll find out, I guess, in a couple days.
Would there be any reason you could even think of that they wouldn't vote Miami as the number one team in America?
Not that I could think of, but I'm kind of prejudiced.
So our guys in the booth, they think you've earned it as well.
All right, thank you, Lynn.
Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
So the Miami Hurricanes. Will it be a third national championship of the decade? Clearly they feel they are the team of the decade. And frankly, so do we. Miami wins it by 8 in the Sugar Bowl. We'll be back. Miami wins it by 8. Lynn Swann back down on the field, and let's return to Swanee right now.
Thank you, Al. Keith, obviously disappointed with the loss, but the only other question outside of who would be number one in America is whether or not Keith McCants is going to be back at Alabama or turn pro. What's your decision? Have you made one?
Well, I haven't made one yet. I have to sit down and look at the pluses and the minuses. And right now, I am enrolled in school and will be attending whatever the decision may be. And I'm having the time of my life in school. Even though you had a bad loss here, I haven't made my mind up what I'm going to do.
Money is a big consideration, obviously, with the ownership of professional football, talking about going to a percentage for salary, and they're talking about the big contracts being diminished. Has that been a part of your decision-making process?
Well, it depends. You know, the university is making several $1 million, and players aren't getting paid. So it's a very difficult decision for me to make at where I am now.
Do you have any timetable for when you're going to make that decision?
No, not right now. I don't. You know, I have to. Like I said earlier, I have to sit down and look at the pluses and the minuses.
Best of luck. with whatever decision you make.
Thank you, Lynn.
Okay, Al.
All right, thank you, Lynn. And that's the story from the Superdome, where the Hurricanes, the team, and the coaching staff and their fans are celebrating what they feel will be a national championship, with the results of the polls coming out tomorrow. Once again, the final score from the Superdome: Miami 33, Alabama 25. A promotional fee has been provided by USF&G to ABC Sports. Happy New Year, everyone.
Sunday, winners from the PGA and Senior Tours meet in the Money Tournament of Champions. Final round coverage begins at 3 Eastern, Sunday on ABC Sports. The USF&G Sugar Bowl has been brought to you by USF&G. All across this country, USF&G protects your business, home, auto, and life. USF&G covers the USA. By the Chrysler Corporation, introducing our 1990 cars, minivans, and trucks. By UPS, fast, efficient service to 175 countries and territories worldwide. And by Shearson, Lehman Hutton. When you do it better, you get to be the leader. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.